So did you know that?
It was inevitable that some.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Morning Nonsense. And fortunately for us, it seems that we got all the wonderful technical difficulties sorted out before the stream. Hopefully. So everything managed to freeze, and the internet died, and all that good stuff. All that good stuff happened right before the stream. It's why we're a little bit late, but hopefully that gives us enough leeway for the stream, so we can have a technical hiccup free stream, hopefully, with all luck. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. So everyone, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Really do. Let's see here. 1 second here. Dr. Crow, thank you for the $9.99. Appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. Who's ready for a wonderful stream? Thank you, LD, for being awesome, and thank you, chat, as well. You guys inspire me as I work on my comic. Hope to publish somehow soon. Thank you. Well, thank you, Dr. Crow, and thank you, chat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is fantastic. And I hope you're going to think this is going to be a great stream, because there's some interesting things to go over, like I always say. The nonsense, this never stops. This keeps piling and piling and piling up. And it's always fun, though. It's always fun. Always fun, I think. Anyway, let's see here. Hopefully I got everything back up, because unfortunately I had everything set up, and then, of course, everything froze, and I had to restart everything, and then it froze again, and then I was unable to regain all the comic book, not the comic book pages, but the pages I had up. The internet pages I had up. Let's see here. No, didn't have everything back up. Of course it didn't. 1 second, chat. Almost. The one thing I want to start off with is the one thing that isn't there. 1 second, chat. 1 second. Here we go. It's really funny. It's really funny. It's like we mentioned before. We've been watching the past episodes that even the shill media is had enough. They're tired of covering for the mainstream. They're tired of going along with the mainstream, saying that everything is awesome when it isn't. It absolutely isn't. And another example has come out today, it seems. So let me see if I can pull this up. 1 second, chat. This is by the publishing house Bleeding Fool, which suffers none. They've had some interesting people work for them, and they've seemed to have either parted ways, or have been publicly called out by the company or the publishing house. Let's see here. Here we go. I should do it. Let's see here. Nexus 906, much to the 10. Appreciate that. This is for a new PC. It seems that I need one. I'm not. Hopefully I don't. But it seems that I might need one. I'm not really sure. I think it says Windows 10. I think Windows 10 is freezing up on everything. I'm hearing so many stories about Windows 10 freezing up for one reason or another. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Diamond Toys is my Bleeding Fool. Diamond Toys president says no demand for new Star Wars characters. Same thing we've been saying for years now, and the same thing I've been hinting at, or I've been touching on, with my with me saying they can't sell you old Star Wars, but they can't sell you new Star Wars without old Star Wars. They just can't do it. That's how they work, chat. That's how they work. They, if you noticed, even in the movies, they kind of knew that. It's kind of like how yesterday, if you were here yesterday, we were talking about Captain Marvel, and we are also talking about how Spider-Man they need to add in Spider-Man to Captain Marvel so that they can actually sell tickets for Captain Marvel. Let's see here. Yeah, so the first Captain Marvel, they had to you ruin Nick Fury. I think we covered a Yellow Flash video on that subject, and then the second time around, right? Now they're going to add in Spider-Man. It's very good. It's a very good anyway. It's a very good, uh, a very high chance they're going to add in Spider-Man because he is popular, and Captain Marvel, despite whatever they try to do to make her popular, is not popular at all, because she's a plank of wood and way too powerful. Even the normies who watch her say that she's way too powerful. If there's one thing that Captain Marvel did right, Captain Marvel the movie did right, is wake up even the normies to the overwhelming presence of modern day SJW NPC Mary Sue's. But yeah, back to this chat. Diamond Toys president says no demand for new Star Wars characters. This comes out and admits it. They're not supposed to do this, chat. They're not supposed to do this at all. Okay, then they're supposed to stay in line. They're supposed to stay. They were supposed to step in line. They're supposed to step in line. They're supposed to obey the commands of the party doctor and say, "No, look, no, wait. We're not selling toys because we're putting things into other projects or putting a concentration on other things." But unfortunately for them, the Diamond Toys president says the truth. No, there's absolutely no demand for toys from new Star Wars characters because nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about them at all. And say, Zofrat, is that a Rose figurine? Who would want that? No offense to the actor, but it's a minor side character. Yeah, Rose was unfortunately for Rose, they just did her dirty like they did Finn dirty. Except Rose was introduced in the second movie. If they wanted her to be a mainstay character, she should have been introduced in the first movie, like Finn and Poe and Rey, and even Kylo Ren were introduced in the first movie. Okay, very difficult to have a second movie add-in become just as good or just as beloved as the original characters. Although I think they might have accomplished that with Rose because everyone hates them equally. I think, except for maybe Rey. Midnight's Edge After Dark. Good morning, Little Devil. Well, good morning, Midnight's Edge After Dark. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat, everyone. Let's see here. A Semantic Dragon, fake news. They don't sell because of ineffectual boycott. Yes, exactly. All the big dumb fanboys. They don't want to spend money on these things because how dare these big dumb fanboys not want to spend their hard-earned money on things that are horrible. Let's see, Nexus 906, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. Disney Star Wars isn't compelling at all, unlike OT or even the prequels. It isn't. Disney Star Wars is not compelling in the least. I mean, these prequels told a coherent story, and it all matched up. I mean, you can have as many problems with the prequels as you want. I have problems with the prequels, certainly, but I would watch the entire prequel trilogy. I don't hate the prequels. I just think they could have been handled better. But I wouldn't want to be. I would need to be paid. Disney would need to pay me, okay, if I to watch the sequels again. I might enjoy the prequels just because I find them somewhat enjoyable at times. The original trilogy is fantastic. Original trilogy does many things right. There's so many things right. And that's why it's so beloved, because it's so universal. Let's see here. Okay, let me get this right. Okay. Make sure I got everything up, chat. Make sure I got everything up. So much nonsense to go over. It's sometimes a little bit difficult to keep straight. Let me see here. She got everything. All right. Okay. I think we're going to be fine, chat. I think we're going to be just fine. Hope everyone had a fantastic 420 2020. You won't get that too many dates like that very often. Maybe just once in a lifetime. Let's see here. It's a deplorabology. How dare you save your money? Consume. It's like what's his name? Movie Bob. Movie Bob is a consumer. Everything is fine. Everything is great. and you can get rid of everything that goes against your narrative. Anyway, Diamond Toys president says no demand for new Star Wars characters. Uh, Chuck Tessera, the president of Diamond Selects Toys, was recently interviewed by RebelScum.com, and here is a portion of that interview that was very interesting. To Chris Wyman, with the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi back in 2017, to date, we've gotten a Luke Skywalker mini bust, a Praetorian Guard statue, an Executioner Trooper statue, and some Porg bookends. Needless to say, the episode 7 shelf has some room for more characters. Are there plans to continue making product for that film? Tech Tesseria, I guess Techeria. I don't know. It sounds like a store actually. It's pretty good. It's a pretty interesting profession to go in, selling stuff, and your last name sounds like a store. As you know, whatever was done before last year, DST had no control over GGLD Ltd. Made those decisions. Let's see here. GGLTD made those decisions. But as I said, Dev is still here guiding the brand, and we are aware of the past history. I will say from what we have seen, the sales on the products from 7 and 8 were not too strong. So sales on the products from 7 and 8 were not too strong at all. That's a Force Awakens, and I believe The Last Jedi. 9 being the Rise of Skywalker. I know those movies, as well as 9, have their fans, and those fans might say GG would just never did the right products or characters or formats, and they might be correct. However, we can only go by what we know. For sure, the door is not closed to the ST products, and we are working on a couple of pieces to the Rise of Skywalker right now. So hold on here. The products of 7 and 8 were not too strong, okay, but they are working on the Rise of Skywalker. You think the Rise of Skywalker might outsell toys of you think the Rise of Skywalker toys might outsell the toys from, I don't know, The Last Jedi? That'd be interesting. I really want that to happen, actually, because the Rise of Skywalker, so many people say that it was worse than Last Jedi, and I disagree, because the essence and the spirit of the movie of Rise of Skywalker was a lot friendlier to the fan. It was they were trying to be less brilliant and be more fan friendly, traditional Star Wars fan friendly, not new weirdo. We hate capitalism and protect what you love. The Last Jedi fan friendly. That's the Reylo fans. They weren't that friendly to Reylo fans specifically. They're more friendly to traditional Star Wars fans, which is what they should have been doing all along. I see Alex Halo, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. Give us the Spider Lolly as the sidekick of Spider-Man instead. Japan loves her. Just look how many doji. Ignore the last part. Spider-Gwen has them too. Uh-oh. Has Spider-Gwen taken over everything? Of course she has. I think what it doesn't. I saw Into the Spider-Verse. Does Spider-Gwen have that shaved side of the head too? That's always an unfortunate sign. It's kind of like seeing a blue and orange frog or something. It tells you it's poison. That shaved side of the head thing, and also that new. I've heard from that new Star Wars Clone Wars that the two characters that look like SJW characters because they have shaved sides of their heads, is they're dumb. It's just kind of ruining with social justice. And they kind of had their hands in it in the first place because there was an instance where they put Padme Amidala on the side of one of their ships, one of the little planes or whatever. And they got rid of it because it was too inappropriate, too demeaning to Amidala. Can't have that, chat. Can't have that. Let's see here. Okay. And we have, I think he was talking about how they're still making toys even despite the lack of demand for 7 and 8. They're still making the toys for 9. I hope that 9 outsells 7 and 8. That'd be fantastic. Just perfect. Because 7 and 8 were just filled to the brim with ego. 9 became a little bit more humble. 7 was filled with ego a little bit as they tried to just copy original Star Wars. And 8 was just filling to the brim with ego. 8 was just outrageous. So after 8, of course, 8 was the death of Star Wars. And so Solo failed. They canceled so many projects, and they still had to push out Rise of Skywalker, and they did. They pushed out Rise of Skywalker, and if you notice, in comparison to 7 and 8, and maybe even Solo and all of those projects, 9 was far more humble in comparison. Far more humble. They tried to appeal back to fans because they knew they lost them. They were so arrogant when they went into 7 and 8. So I would really enjoy it if 9 outsold 7 8 in terms of toys. It'd be fantastic. Let's see. They had their fans might say GG just never did the right products or characters or formats. They might be correct. However, we can only hope. We can only go by what we know. For sure, the door is not closed to the ST products, and we are working on a couple of pieces for the Rise of Skywalker right now. We were not allowed to access to all of the movie before it came out, so some work could not begin until after the movie came out. We're keeping a very close eye on it and listening to fan feedback. So if there is demand, we're happy to satisfy it. Let's see here. Noble Commando. I love world class bullshitters because they do a good job reporting on Star Wars toy situation. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. They're kind of into that stuff. Let's see here. CW Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker hit theaters last December, and it looks like there are just 3 pieces up for pre-order at this time. Those being Sith Trooper mini bust, the Kylo Ren Dreamer Premiere Collection statue, and the Kylo Ren Legends in 3-dimensional bust. I think that there is a reason for that, because Kylo Ren was probably the star of Rise of Skywalker. Not really Rey so much, but Kylo Ren kind of took the spotlight in Rise of Skywalker. I would imagine there are some very requested characters, especially in the ever popular mini bust line, that fans would love to see. Names like Emperor Palpatine, Poe Dameron, Zori Bliss, Babu Frick. Who wants to be Babu Frick? Babu Frick is terrible. And Lando Calrissian, C3PO, and more. Can you speak on what we might see more characters in the final chapter in the 9-film Star Wars saga? Well, first of all, it's a 6-film Star Wars saga. There's 3 fiction films that should not be canon. They're just made by a different company. Okay. CT, as I mentioned before, we are working on some, but I have to ask, are you sure there's lots of demand for these very requested characters? The overall demand for busts and Star Wars products is not what it was. It's not what it was 10 or even 5 years ago. It's not just a GG issue either. The brand is very strong with The Mandalorian and The Clone Wars, and more new content to come. Because The Mandalorian and Clone Wars, so far, I mean, The Clone Wars has a very good reputation for being good already, the TV series. The Mandalorian has already only 1 season, and it's pretty good. It's not great yet, but it's pretty good. And it's only 1 season out so far, The Mandalorian. It might get worse. I don't know. But The Mandalorian was pretty good in the first season. So it's more like, it doesn't seem like the Star Wars brand has died. It's more like we just need good Star Wars. We need well-written Star Wars. Not I want to be brilliant Star Wars. Not the stuff we've been getting from Disney, where the creators are so egotistical, and they put their own ego and desire to be seen as quote unquote brilliant before the actual story itself. Hey, Alex Hill, which are the 2. By Lolly, I mean Penny Parker. Japan seems to like her. Is there Penny Parker? I don't know. I don't read Spider-Man that much. But of course, leave it to Japan to make a lolly Spider-Man. Of course they would. Let's see here. Hicks Harper, welcome to the chat. Frick Babu. Yeah, Frick Babu. Frick him. Write him off completely. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. 5 years ago. What happened 5 years ago? Anyone guess what happened 5 years ago? Let's see. The Mandalorian and the Clone Wars, and more content to come, but you all know that the production runs on collector products were in the past compared to now. We would very much love to make more product from the new movie. It's not like we're sitting behind our desks, wringing our hands, thinking, how can we stick it to the fans? And you're not? You mean you're actually businessmen and not just out here trying to figure out what can anger the fans, that means they're actual businessmen, chat. That means they're actually out here to make money and not divide the fan base. So they say this like it's a joke, but it's surprising to me that they're not actually doing this, considering how many other companies are doing this very thing. So he says we would very much love to make more products for the new movie. It's not like we're sitting behind our desks, wringing our hands, thinking of how we can stick it to the fans and not make busts they want that will make us money, right? Yeah, he said they say that like it's obvious, that's like it's a joke. Like, of course they're not doing that. That'd be dumb. But thing is, if they're not doing that, they're one of the few mainstream companies that aren't. So many other showrunners, so many other projects, so many other mainstream producers have come out and said that, yeah, we're doing exactly this. We're sitting behind our desks, writing scripts, wringing our hands on how we can stick it to the fans of these franchises. We can stick it to the fans of these franchises, and so I mean, we've heard it before, right out of the mouths of these producers and these creators. Like the Star Trek Picard, the creator of that, the showrunner for that one. Yeah, he purposely said he purposely put in things he knew would divide fans. Ryan Johnson, one of the defenses of the Last Jedi is Ryan Johnson knew it would divide fans. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's not like we're sitting behind our desks finding out how to make money, right? How to not to make money. We just, as of yet, have not seen enough fans that would want to buy a bust. They have that personal affection for some of those new characters. No one has a personal affection for these characters unless it's like for political reasons or for selfish reasons. I want to be Rey is me. Rey is me. I want to be Rey. Rey is perfect in every way. She's super powerful without having to need training. So I want to be Rey. That's why they love her. They love Rey for the same reasons they love Bella Swan. I think his name is Bella Swan from Twilight, because she's a pair of pants. She has no personality. She's completely empty inside, and so you can wear her as a skin suit. Very creepy stuff. Especially if it's in a hero's journey formula and not just a romance formula. Romance formula, it's fine, but this is a hero's journey formula, and you're supposed to have obstacles. You're supposed to have her struggle and grow. They don't. We just, as of yet, have not seen enough fans that would want to buy a bust that personal affection for some of those new characters at some sense to justify going to production. But for sure, we're watching it, and perhaps as more time passes, fan affection for those characters will grow. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. It's the Star Wars sequels are kind of like those movies you might like on first viewing, and then the more views you give it, the worse it becomes. The worse it becomes, Chad. I've heard that story, and I personally had that reaction. I rewatched The Force Awakens. I've rewatched The Rise of Skywalker, and unfortunately, to my detriment, I have rewatched Last Jedi at least twice. They've all gotten horribly worse on second, third, and fourth viewings. They just go downhill. Let's go downhill because you catch more stuff and you realize more of what they've done to the Star Wars franchise. It's a look at how they massacred my boy, indeed. Claw Clackax, why do you think these people try to shove their own politics into stories? What would be the point of driving away the fans? Well, like I always say, when they say that when they put in politics, they think they're doing a universal good. Well, they don't think that. They say that's what they're doing. They're saying, "Well, obviously, I'm morally superior, so all of the things I believe in are the right things. So everyone should be listening to my politics that I'm putting into my story because they're the right politics to have. If you don't hold these politics, then you're obviously a bad person and a bigot. And so, I'm gonna put my personal politics in there because I'm a good person and I believe in nothing but good things, and that's their mindset. So when they chase away fans, they're actually actively curating their fan bases. So what they're doing is, if they have an audience of 10,000 and 7,000 turn away, they've experienced a drop in 7,000 people, and they went from an audience of 10,000 to 3,000. In their mind, that's not a loss. In a normal person's mind, that'd be horrible. That'd be a nightmare scenario where they would go to where they would say Oh no, what have we done? We lost more than half of our audience. And the social justice NPC mindset, it's more along the lines of, oh great, we lost over half of our audience because we didn't lose 7,000 audience members. We lost 7,000 bigots. We lost 7,000 racists and sexists and Nazis. That's what they think. So they're not, in their mind, they're not driving away fans, they're driving away bigots. And so they'll have a purified fan base at the very end. That's kind of what that's why they do that. That's why they kind of celebrate and brag when they block people and stuff. When they mute you or block you, and well, that's why they brag when they say, "Oh look, I've got all the Star Wars incel fanboys after me. I got them. I made them all mad. I made them all mad and angry." That's why they celebrate that, chat. That's why they don't care that you're angry at them or that you hate them, because to them, if you don't like what they're doing, you're a bigot. Let's see here. Let's see here. 5 years ago. 5 years ago. What happened 5 years ago? Anyone? Okay, what had happened 5 years ago, chat? It's like something big happened in the Star Wars franchise 5 years ago that turned people off from buying toys. I wonder what that was. I wonder what that was. Mr. I let's call him Mr. Takuria. Mr. Takuria had the courage to say what other manufacturers have not. Yet, despite being point blank, the interviewer wouldn't let it go because he imagines there must be a demand for Star Wars sequel trilogy characters. Oh, must there be? Must there be? Is there a demand for GoBots? Let's see here. The sad reality is that there isn't any demand. The sad reality is that there isn't any demand for them. As a small handful of SJWs continue to screech about it, the lesson that the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toy line taught us 40 years ago, which I might point out in my recent documentary, will never be heeded by idiot SJWs. They are ineducable. So there's Admiral Holdo. There's I guess a Kathleen Kennedy bitter agenda trailer too. Let's see what's this? What's this? Hold on, chat. Let me go ahead and reshare this. I didn't know there would be a video on this one. And see Barry Bend. How feminists get female fans make bland Mary Sue's. How Sunrise gets female fans make Mecha Genjika trend. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why there's not that many fans for Star Wars, for Disney Star Wars. However, manga has a lot of female fans. I wonder what the difference is. Maybe manga is giving excellent stories that appeal to women, and not just trying to appeal to female fans by saying, "Here you go. Here's a character that's you. That's perfect. It's a perfect character. It's you. You did that. You did. Welcome." Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. Let me go ahead and reshare this really quickly here. Almost back up, chat. I didn't know there would be an interesting video. Let's watch this video. See what it has to say. This is called Kathleen Kennedy's Bitter Agenda Trailer 2. So let's see how that goes. I bet you that's copywritten. Let me see here. So we have the disclaimer. Okay. Let's see here. That one servant of Satania. Is it worth spending money on it just to destroy it in various different ways? I mean, if you can do it for entertainment purposes, I mean, it's not worth spending money on it till you can destroy it in your own private home with no one watching or something. If you want to film it and stream it and then have people enjoy watching you destroy it, then there's another thing, because then you're spraying around the happiness. But that's the difference there. So you want to buy it like Ethan Skyver does, buy these toys and then destroy it on stream. Then I would suggest you can do that. But buying it to destroy it on your own, it wouldn't really hurt them that much or at all. It'll just help them, in fact. Let's see here.
The toys that made us.
20% of the Masters of the Universe audience were female. Girls were buying He-Man, so why not take advantage of that target audience?
Action, adventure.
Were they buying the He-Man toys specifically? If they were, I wonder why they were doing that. Was it anything to do with the fact that He-Man is just called He-Man and he's really big and muscly? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they like to have a big muscly character, big muscly male character to play around and their own stories. Who knows?
Those were things that Barbie couldn't do. So we said, well, let's see if we can come up with a product line that can deliver on those things, and the line can carry on the coattails of the success of He-Man.
Why can't He-Man have a sister?
Oh, right.
Why am I not 50 points ahead, you might be asking?
Right. Good idea.
If he had a sister, what would her name be?
We have
I like how this mindset works, and you see this all the time in entertainment. So they see something that works perfectly fine, that's going perfectly well, okay, and then they go, someone sees that it's working perfectly well, and then they buy the rights to it, and then they say, "I know this is already selling and doing perfect, and it's doing fine the way it is, but let's change everything about it. Let's give it all these other changes to make it better, quote unquote, better." And so you get instances where, hey, look, 20% of the people who are buying He-Man toys are girls. I have an idea. Let's just make He-Man a woman now. Why? It was already fine the way it was. And it's kind of how I go in manga. In fact, this is good. This is a very, very good example is going to manga and anime. So Westerners see that a property is selling really well in the West, right? In the West, not just in Japan, but in the West, it's already doing very well. So they buy the rights to it, and they go, "Well, we have the rights to this property, this manga property that's already doing very well in the West. Here's what we do: let's change everything about it, and let's put it on Netflix, and let's call it Death Note." Let's change everything about it, though. It's kind of like how those fans, those SJW fans, or quote unquote fans, who try to infiltrate the Star Trek and the Star Wars universe, Star Wars franchise fandom, and they said apparently we're supposed to believe that they love Star Wars and they love Star Trek. They just want to change everything about it. And I'm sitting here saying, sure you do. Sure you love Star Trek. Sure you love Star Wars. You're just not trying to infiltrate everything so you can ruin it for everyone else. See, Alex Taylor, next with 5. Appreciate that. The new isekai anime made for female otakus is very good so far. The main character is getting a harem of all guys and the girls. Interesting. I think there's something called reverse harem or something. See, there's a reason why there's a huge audience these days in the West for manga and anime, because they're actually trying to appeal to our need for stories and fantasies and having well written fantasies and stories and escapist fiction. Well, Western stuff is trying to tell us politics, and we don't care. And jokes on them because they're spending thousands of dollars to make people who don't agree with them angry, while I can just go ahead and look at other media that's come before with 0% wokeness in it. 0% wokeness. And if they continue to say that, oh, the entertainment's always been political, okay, then where's my political stuff? Where's the stuff that's not far extreme leftist? Where's my pro-capitalist political movies? Okay, where's my where's my pro-gun? Where's my pro-freedom and pro-small government entertainment? Where's that at? Okay, where's that at in modern media? Let's see here. Hey, Daniel Lindsay, maybe I'm not smart enough to get it. They are buying my product. Let me change it to get them. Am I lost? Am I smart enough for it? No, you're smart enough. You're more than smart enough, Daniel Lindsay. These people are just weirdos. I don't know what's wrong with them. They see something perfectly fine, that's working perfectly fine, making money in its own right, and they're saying, "How can we fix this? How can we fix something that's not broken?" That's the eternal question of these people in entertainment these days. Here's something that's not broken. How do we fix it? I know. Let's break it. See what happens. Let's see. Gojira 387. Possibly on average, whether it's He-Man, Star Wars, Star Trek, Transformers, possibly other things, you can speculate that maybe 20% of the audience is female. Because even if all these things are targeted towards men, there's going to be a subsection. There's going to be an appeal towards a female demographic, nonetheless. It's just going to happen. it's just going to happen. And they're trying to fix it. Like, oh, look, we need to get more women on board. Well, that's not exactly necessary. And the thing is, if you change it, you're going to lose, not only going to lose the predominantly male fan base that you had before in, say, He-Man, Star Wars, and Star Trek, and Transformers, but you're also going to lose the 20% of the female audience that you already had. Because the 20% of female audience that's there, they like the product the way it was. Otherwise, they wouldn't be fans. They wouldn't be there buying the toys. So when you're trying to fix it, you're actually breaking it for everyone, and you end up appealing to a demographic or a fan base that's not going to be there. That wasn't there to begin with, and it's not going to come over just because you just put a wig on He-Man. It doesn't work that way.
We had all these she names, things that represented womanhood, and we were like joking about, how about Sheila? And Jill said, well, how about
Shira, the Princess of Power.
And I said, that's it.
I think I've heard about that one in particular, and I think when they came out with She-Ra, Princess of Power, it was still predominantly boys buying that character because it's part of the He-Man universe. Also, I bet you the boys just wanted this, like the beautiful female toy to play around with. But yeah, that's what happened. I think that's what happened when they came out with She-Ra, Princess of Power. Girls didn't buy her. At least they didn't come swarming in the droves they thought would occur when they pumped out She-Ra, Princess of Power. It was still a predominantly male fan base that bought She-Ra. Let's see here. The one Serta Satanya, how can we fix something that's not broken? Has the same energy as, if we don't study the future, we are deemed to repeat our mistakes for the first time. Yeah. Same energy, chat. Same energy. If we don't study the future, we are deemed to repeat our mistakes for the first time. Exactly. It's just nonsensical thinking, chat, but it's how they think. It's how they think. Here's something that's not broken, that's perfectly fine. How do we fix it? How do we break this so it's perfectly broken? Nexus 906, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. Japanese entertainment has also been just that. Japanese rarely give a flying F about anyone's sensibilities. They're just here to entertain. And that's why we love Japan in the West now. That's why we love Japan. That's why they seem to be saving the West, because they don't care about your politics. They're kind of the exact opposite of Western creators these days. They don't care about your politics. They just want to tell a good story. But Western creators don't care about your story. They just want to tell politics. Not even good politics. Just their biased, divisive ones. So frats, She-Ma'am. I love it. Yeah, it should make when they made the She-Ra reboot, they should have called her She-Ma'am. That's something to do. She-Ra, the She-Ra reboot is already a boy. She's already like a teenage boy. That's not a girl figure. That is Hank Venture in a dress and a wig. Hatch 450 SX, thank you much for the 2. Fix it till it's broken, then leave the man to fix. It seems to be what's going on. It seems to be exactly what's going on. Fix it until it's broken, and then we're finished. And someone has to come pick up our mess. Daniel Lindsay, yeah, it was about the same number as before with all He-Man toys. I remember correctly. Yeah. If I remember correctly how that turned out, She-Ra still appealed to boys because it was still action adventure oriented. So boys like that. So even if it's a girl, doesn't matter the gender, boys just want action adventure stuff. And so they liked He-Man. And so they bought She-Ra. It's still the same fan base. Okay, you're going to have to change genres if you want to switch that around.
We'll go with that.
The 1982 Masters line did 38.2 million, then 80 million in 83, and 111 million in 84, 250 million in 85, 400 million in 86. Then it collapsed to 7 million.
It looked like He-Man no
What
longer
happened?
had the power, and many at Mattel were left asking the question.
What happened?
One theory was from Dave Capper. He says, the reason He-Man sales aren't doing well is because of you. I go, me? He said, yes. He said, you came up with She-Ra. That basically demasculized He-Man, and now boys don't want him anymore.
We started to get feedback that if an 8-year-old boy had been playing with He-Man for 2 or 3 years, and now his sister was saying, I have the power, that there was something that just didn't feel as...
It's kind of like it's kind of like, why can't you just let boys have fun? Why can't you let boys have power? Okay, like you could just let have boys have fun in a medium or property meant for boys. That's essentially what he's saying here. Like, well, I mean, they're playing for these boys are playing with He-Man, having fun on their own, just playing with He-Man. Then you came out with She-Ra, Princess of Power, and suddenly their sister has Princess of Power, and saying, "No, I have the power now." And so you just took away the fun from the boys. That's what he's essentially saying. And yeah, I mean, they saw He-Man was a property for boys, essentially, mostly for boys, and they said, "Well, let's give the girls the power." That's what they said. That's essentially what those other people said. Let's give the girls the power. The boys are having too much fun. We can't have boys having fun, so we have to give the girls power also. And that's what the numbers apparently showed, according to this guy. That's what this feedback said, and the numbers said. Well, he came out with She-Ra, Princess of Power, and the sales plummeted. The boys don't want it anymore because now the sisters are in on it, and that makes it uncool. It makes it uncool, guys. Okay. Let's see, Zayukia. To be fair, Japan has done similar things with Kamen Rider. They realized there was a sizable audience that was female housewives, so they cast more handsome men as the main leads. Well, I mean that's better. It's actually a good idea. That's how you do it, chat. That's actually how you do it. If that were to occur in the West, it would be, we have a sizable female audience. Let's get rid of all the men and then replace all the men with women, and then you get rid of everyone. This like Japan actually knows what they're doing. So in Japan, instead of let's replace all the male characters with female characters because we have female audience. Instead of doing that, it's okay. Let's continue. Let's recast our people with more handsome men because we have a female audience. It's kind of like Japan knows what women want or something. It's like how Japan knows what men want. Okay, it's not always about hey, look, there's me. It's about hey, look, that person is attractive. I want to watch this show now. It's almost as if that's the case in Japan. That's they notice how the trend goes. That one segment, Satania, you mean boys aren't sexist? No, I can't believe such nonsense. Yeah, this boy still bought She-Ra. The boys still bought She-Ra, but as the moment their sisters started to come into started to come into the picture, it became uncool. So I think because I remember She-Ra did sell, but it did sell mainly to boys. But his feedback here adds in a new perspective, in that once their sisters got involved, once the sisters came in and said, "Oh look, I want to play He-Man too," suddenly it became uncool, and they stopped playing it, and their sales plummeted. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Cool.
That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of.
There's only one solution for the retailers. They drop the price. And that price drops, not only do profits drop, but consumers start to think that magic is gone. The line starts to lose its cool. And you can't get that back.
Kathleen Kennedy's bitter agenda. So that's an interesting thing that happened, chat. So that's interesting information to know. That yeah, the She-Ra doll did sell. The She-Ra toy did sell, but according to this guy, when he got the feedback from it, when they got feedback that once their sisters got involved, all the boys didn't want He-Man anymore. It became uncool, and so in order to sell these toys, they had to drop it by 50%, which permanently got rid of the coolness, and so the toy line was kind of ruined, and it plummeted permanently. All thanks to them trying to include more women or something, more girls, in a property made for boys. It's kind of like if they try to run Barbie and try to make Barbie more appealing towards boys by adding in more men and trying to adding in more men in cars. It doesn't work that way. It'll probably just end up losing everything. Kathleen Kennedy's bitter agenda. That's just fantastic. That's essentially what happened. And so we have Holdo, and the toys are dying again, chat. Toys are dying again. We're experiencing the same thing happen in Star Wars that happened in He-Man. Okay, they started adding in more of these characters, and suddenly it became uncool. Kathleen Kennedy killed the coolness of Star Wars by adding in characters like Admiral Holdo. No one wants Admiral Holdo as a toy. Okay. Denny Spike, aka Hack, handsome men in media really do draw in female viewers. My normie cousin started watching The Flash solely because the actor was macho guapo. Yeah, mucho guapo, very handsome. Yeah, that's what happens, Chad. That's what happens. But in their deranged minds, it's not. We didn't add more handsome male characters. It's let's just get rid of all the male characters and then just add in a bunch of female characters. It's kind of like if they had a show and said, "Oh, look, we have a bunch of male demographics. Let's get rid of all of our female characters and add in more men. Let's get rid of all of our attractive female characters and add in more men." Maybe those men were watching for those female characters. Who knows? Might be likely so. There's a reason why so many men nowadays obsess over waifus. And for what I've heard from like Mr. Medicare and other people who've watched anime in recent years, it's the reason why so many men like Konosuba, that one anime. I think what's an isekai anime or something. I've heard it was a Citizen Kane of isekai anime. Well, first of all, I've heard it was a Citizen Kane of anime, and then some old boy corrected me and said that it's actually the Citizen Kane of isekai anime. So there's a reason why so many men like that show. Well, men like that show, and Mr. Medicare pointed out, and to put it in more acceptable terms, to put it in more PG terms, it's the fan base often quarrels on which female character they would like to, which wouldn't they prefer, which wouldn't they prefer, if they. So let me put it this way: so Konosuba has one male character and then what 4 or 5 female characters with totally different personalities, different aspects to the personality, different powers, and all that stuff. It's in the West. If they had Konosuba in the West, seeing that, okay, so the whole problem with the whole thing with Konosuba is a bunch of male characters or a bunch of male fans get together and they kind of argue and over which one is the best, which one they would like to get with more. So it seems, to put it that way. So the whole appeal of it is which one is the best, which girl is the best girl, which girl is best girl. And if that were to happen in the West, they would say, and if they were to reverse things, if they were to treat these male fan bases like Star Wars treats female fan bases, they would take Konosuba, and they would say, "Hey, look, we have an increasing male fan base. We want to get more men on here because it's they're really giving us profit on this property. I have an idea. Let's get rid of all the female characters and add in a bunch of male characters, and that'll skyrocket our sales because all these men can see themselves as these characters. They can say, "Oh, look, that's me," and we can say, "Oh, look, that's you, male character, the male fan base. These characters are you." And what do you think would happen, Chad? What do you think would happen then if the fan base was predominantly there and the excitement of the fan base was predominantly there and ignited and fired up because of the friendly competition between which girl is best girl? What do you think would happen to the Konosuba fan base? It'd probably dissolve into nothing. Yeah, so that's you can kind of, given that you can kind of see the idea of what would happen what's happening with Star Wars. All the women who didn't like Star Wars are still not going to like Star Wars. Just because you add in more female characters doesn't mean they're going to just gravitate towards Star Wars. Okay, and the women who did like Star Wars already like Star Wars how it was with Luke Skywalker. The heroes were Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. You know, how many times have you heard all the female fans of Star Wars just swoon over Han Solo because he's such a charismatic bad boy? Okay, they liked it the way it was. And the reason why no one wants to buy these toys because no one wants to buy these toys. They are not what male fan base people want, and they're not what the female fan base wants. Okay, no one wants these toys. There's no demand for them. The best you can get is as Adam Driver's Kylo Ren, and he's no Han Solo. He just has the angst and the bad boy stuff down, but he has no charisma. He has no charisma. He's a whiny man baby, and no one wants that. Who wants to buy a whiny man baby for a toy unless you're a Raylo? I say ANCAP Kool-Aid, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. Do you think there is a way to include politics without being overhanded as modern media? Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, chat. To answer your question on that one, the answer is yes. First of all, and funnily enough, okay, if you want to discuss how politics was never in, how keep your politics. It would say keep your politics out of my comics to an SJW who wants politics and everything. All you have to do is say those lines. I want comic books without politics in it, and they'll barrage you with comic books they think are just obsessed with politics, which actually aren't. So Stan Lee, he's well known for putting in social issues, and the big one they like to push forward is that X-Men were kind of like a stand-in for the civil rights movement. But the thing is, if you read X-Men, you wouldn't necessarily be hit over the head with civil rights. Civil rights. It's cool. Wolverine and the rest of the X-Men are fighting bad guys. It was it's a big difference, and I plan to do a video of this in the future. I have so many videos to do, chat. It's just I don't like to release videos unless unless I think they are complete, unless they're baked long enough in the oven. My mystery box theory video was I just kind of pushed that out too fast, in my opinion. People liked it still, but I think it was still too fast. I would have preferred it to stay in the oven a little bit more, but I just wanted to see if I could do a video faster than normal. But yeah, unfortunately, in my video, I just want my videos to be as spot on as I can possibly get them. But yeah, I'm going to do a video on that in the future. I plan to, but because there's a difference between modern media, the politics being stuffed into our faces by modern media, and being politically inspired. So, for example, you would have Captain America fight Nazis during World War II, but you would have a good story in it. So you can follow Captain America fighting, trying to destroy a Nazi super weapon, and fighting the bad guys, beating the Nazis, destroying the super weapons. It's like what you see in a modern movie. It's a story first, chat. Story came first. It just happened to be inspired by modern day politics. Okay, so if you see a Captain America story where he fights Nazis and destroys a super weapon and everything, that would be the old way of doing things. If that were happening today, the politics would come first. It would be about it would be the writers screaming about how how he disagrees with the Nazi regime and highlighting all the bad things about it, which is fine because Nazis were bad guys, but we're not there for a political lecture, chat. We're there to see Captain America punch bad guys. That's what we want to see. We want to see him go around punching bad guys and defeating and thwarting the plans of the Red Skull and all that good stuff. That's what we're there for, chat. That's what we're actually there for. So that's what it means by having politics as a backdrop. As Stan Lee said himself, having politics in the background. So he would put Nazis in there as the bad guy and form a story where Nazis are doing something bad in the show or in the comic book, and then Captain America would run and stop them. It's not a political lecture. It's a story. It's an adventure. So with like Watchmen has some real world politics in it. It touches on real world politics, as in the Cold War, but it didn't. There's no lecture in there. It's all about a story, and he's the politics as a backdrop. He's the politics as a way to fuel the story and fuel the tension. And Alan Moore used the politics of that time to fuel the moral tale he wants to tell on how humans can be desperate and how they can succumb to fear and all that good stuff. So it's the humanity that Alan Moore used Alan Moore used the politics to tell a tale of humanity, while modern creators use politics to tell tales of politics. Big difference, chat. Big difference. But I plan to do a video on that in the future. But yes, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. Okay, you absolutely can produce products and works that have politics in it without being heavy-handed. Just do what Stan Lee does. Do the Stan Lee ideal. Just learn from Stan Lee. He was fantastic. He was fantastic at doing this stuff, and he understood how this worked. So we're learn from Stan Lee, and that's how it essentially goes. Okay. If you want to put in politics, you put it in as a background element. Okay, modern media tends to put in politics as a forefront, as the whole thing. They use it as a core instead of a background element. Let's see, your Nexus 906, much of 2. Konosuba, no, my waifu is better. So that's what I heard from Medicare. Okay, it's just a bunch of people arguing over which girl is best girl. So I think that was a perfect example. Yeah, get rid of all the. I have an idea. All these men love Konosuba. Let's get rid of all the female characters and put in more male characters. That'll get us running and going, right? Yeah, pretty sure it's not going to work that way. I'm pretty sure you're going to lose everybody. Let's see here. Shiny FX, welcome to the chat, Shiny. Lit Dev, oh, that's so true. Hit the nail on the head. Both my exes were female, and they love Star Wars, and they hate it now. See? There's a reason why even that Star Wars girl, I know that Star Wars girl, she loves Star Wars. She loved the story of Luke Skywalker. She said she fell in love with Star Wars the moment she turned on the original trilogy. And now they're trying to appeal to more women. Now she hates it. Because guess what? The women who liked Star Wars before liked it the way it was. Okay? Strange how that works. People who like the franchise like the franchise because the franchise was the way it was. And not they don't like it anymore if you do all these extreme changes to it. Odd how that works. It's kind of like if you have a customer looking for maybe a blue house and they say, "Oh, I love this house. I love the color of this house. It's blue. It's fantastic. I love it to death." And the person selling it to them goes, "You know what? I think they'll love it even more if it were orange." It's that silly. It's that silly, chat. I love the house because it was blue. I know that, but I think you'd love it more if it were orange. Trying to appeal to more customers that way. Alex Taylor, I think very much of the 5. I appreciate that. A funny thing I've seen, even female otakus are arguing about with Konosuba girls, is the best. Which one is the best? The characters parody other anime characters types. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I heard it was like a parody or a comedy. I think Medicare described it as a isekai situational comedy or something like that. But yeah, if Konosuba has a female demographic, if they have female fans, and they're probably going to like the show for the same reasons the male fans do. They want to argue over which girl is best girl. That's the appeal of that show. as far as Medicare has described it, and has been. I think I might watch it in the future just because I'm curious now. And Tyler Preston, this is why I was completely surprised how the NPCs were so accepting of Devilman Crybaby, knowing how they lose it if they discover Go Nagi's cutie honey. Oh, see, I've seen Devilman Crybaby on Netflix. I haven't seen the show, but I've seen it because on Netflix, if you watch one anime, they just say, "Here's all the anime we have." So obviously they try to advertise that show to me, but I always thought it was kind of a weird title, so I never watched it. It's like, oh, Devilman, that sounds cool. Devilman Crybaby? Well, I don't want to watch a crybaby. That's why I don't like to watch SJW stuff. Okay, I don't want to see heroes who are crybabies. But I know it being anime, it's probably not straightforward crybaby. So I don't know. Let's see, Deldrit. It's like Star Trek. It's not political. It draws stories from social issues. Exactly. The best Star Trek shows, the best Star Trek episodes are not political. They were inspired by real world social issues. See, the real world social issues of the best ones, like Measure of a Man, is one of my favorites. It's inspired from real world social issues, but it's not the social issue itself. It's not shoving politics down your throat. It's using politics to form an interesting and fascinating scenario on should androids like Data have rights in our day and age? Shouldn't they have the right anyway to be able to refuse dissection for study, even though it's not a living thing? Let's see here. Nexus 906, I mentioned too. Appreciate that. Konosuba is also a parody of isekai. That's what I've heard. I heard it was like the Citizen Kane of isekai anime. But I also heard it was some sort of comedy or something like that. But yeah, I like parodies like that, so I might check it out eventually. Hex Harper, thanks for the $99. Appreciate that. Fight bad guys, then persecution, not the inverse. Exactly. And when we pick up a Captain America comic, even if he's fighting Nazis, I want to see him fight bad guys. That's what we want. And even if they have like a Captain America fight, I don't know, the Klan, for example, like the Ku Klux Klan, we would find that fine. It would be fine in most instances because just like the Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan has been painted in modern media as bad because they're bad guys. The modern boogeyman. It's like Nazis are. But what the modern writers will do is they'll say, "Here's the Ku Klux Klan," and the Ku Klux Klan they all vote the wrong way, and they all like old Star Wars. They'll do this, chat. The modern writers they'll do this. They'll say, "Oh, look, it's just Superman, or it's just Captain America fighting the Ku Klux Klan. What's wrong with that? Well, nothing. Let me read your book. Oh, the Ku Klux Klan they're all Christian and they all love the original Star Wars. They hate the Last Jedi. Basically, the Ku Klux Klan stops being the Ku Klux Klan and when in the hands of these SJWs, and it becomes the person they fought with on Twitter. That's it. They're spraying the person they fought with on Twitter as a KKK member. We don't want that, chat. We want Captain America fighting racist KKK members. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see your grievance in a comic book form. Okay, we don't want to see a personal grievance you had on Twitter in comic book form. Okay, that's not the KKK. That is just the guy you argue with on Twitter. You made into a KKK member. So there's a difference there, chat. But no, it seems like people want Captain Holdo toys. Okay, it seems like they want no one wants Captain Holdo as a toy. Barry Bend, I read the original run. She's telegraphed as bi. Let me see here. Claw Clacax. No, the person selling it says, "What if we color all the furniture blue?" Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's a better analogy. They give Claw Clacax. Like, I want a blue house. Okay, here's a blue house. What'd you do with all the furniture? You colored all the furniture blue. But I don't want blue furniture. Why not? You wanted the house blue? Yeah, because I wanted a blue house. I didn't want blue furniture. Well, the chart says. The old nostalgia critic joke. Well, the chart says. Let's see here. Okay, chat. I said for that. That was an interesting look into the mad mind of Kathleen Kennedy's bitter agenda. See what else we have. Okay. Let's check it out. Chat. We got a couple more things. Which one should we go with? Oh, I like this one, chat. I like this one. This came out yesterday, I believe. It's fresh off the presses. 1 second here. I'll get it back up. Here we go. John Boyega continues to throw shade at Disney Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. He continues to throw shade at the sequels. If you weren't here from last time, if you don't remember from last time, we covered a article where Finn it commented on Poe being cast as I think an Atreides in the new Dune movie. Yeah, he was cast as I forgot which Atreides, but he was cast as an Atreides in the new Dune movie, and he goes, you didn't get this in Star Wars, and so he's throwing shade at their sequels. Now he's throwing more shade, chat. There's more shade he's throwing. Dr. Crow, thanks for $1.99. Appreciate that. Why is there a bear in the blue house? I remember that show, actually. Let's see here. Nev Champion. They don't know what the KKK or Nazis are now. They have no idea what kind of personalities people have. Yeah, because they only know like 3 personalities. At most. They know themselves, the best friend, and the people they hate. That's pretty much it. Matthew J. Nimnall. And a blue Corvette, and everything else is blue for him. And it's playing everything blue. Like, what'd you do? I just wanted a blue house. Okay, I didn't want everything else to be blue. It's Eiffel 65, the blue song. Let's see here. Jaredin, media loves to bring up how bad Lovecraft is, and want people to understand that before interacting with his universe. Well, it doesn't matter. His universe is awesome on its own. Yeah, the thing is, they'll say that Lovecraft is racist, and they'll accuse you. Like if you use someone who they deem as racist, they want you to cancel people who they deem as racist and everything. But because the Cthulhu universe and Lovecraftian mythos sells, it doesn't matter. They'll openly say that he's racist. They'll say Lovecraft was racist and classist and all that stuff, and he was an awful person. But they'll still use his mythos and his ideas to make money off of. And they don't care. They don't care. So they want you to stop working with people they deem racist. But if they can make money off of the people that they deem racist, it's fine for them. It's fine for them, chat. These are awful people. This is why you should never listen to SJWs. All they do is whine. And they're looking out only for themselves. They have no principles. They have no principles at all. Dirt. Anyone remember the Star Trek TOS episode where the Starfleet captain introduced Nazism to planet to bring an end to anarchy? I think I do remember that one, actually. Wasn't it because of a book or something like that. Something like that. But yeah, he introduced some guy introduced Nazism to a planet to bring order to things. Let's see here. John Boyega continues to throw shade at Disney, Star Wars, and The Rise of Skywalker. Let's see. These things are usually boring, but let's see what they have on here. I'm muted because I think there's usually some copywritten music or something. Here we go.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
Mace Windu is one of the most recognizable Jedi in the Star Wars universe. The character first debuted in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, as an influential member of the Jedi
Why is this on
Council.
here? Is he trying to imply that Mace Windu might be Finn's father? That would be interesting. Of course, Mace Windu got around. Of course he did. Let's see here. Hex Harper, the chart says that we should play Eiffel 65's and Blue on constant loop. Well, if it weren't copywritten, I might. If it weren't copywritten, I might. I say Star Wars actor John Boyega, who played Finn in Disney's Star Wars prequel trilogy, appears to be living up to his word, as he now appears to be making it a habit of throwing shade at the Disney Star Wars sequel films. Not all heroes wear capes, but John Boyega should. John Boyega has really grown on me in the past few months. He's been he understood fans and all the good stuff, and he's been throwing shade at the Disney sequels. I think he might be bitter at the Disney sequels, and he has every right to be. They really did terrible things to Finn. Let's see here, Alex Halo, thank you very much for the 5. I appreciate that. Just don't look at what the otakus did with Lovecraft stories. We turn it into action love comedy because his name is Lovecraft. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised if that's what Japan did. Okay, not surprised with what Japan did, or even otakus. Not surprised. Not surprised. Let's see. Lucky Jinx. Sherlock Holmes is one of my favorite characters. It doesn't bother me that much that he's kind of misogynistic. Yeah, it's part of his character. He also takes drugs too. Sherlock Holmes is very standoffish. That was in his character. He's a very peculiar person. Even from the very first story you see him in, A Study in Scarlet, he is. That's actually why. What's his name? Watson was pushed with Sherlock Holmes. Okay, because he's looking for a roommate, but no one would be his roommate because no one likes him. No one can stand to be his roommate because he's so hard to live with. Let's see here. A Space Oyster, John Boyega is best waifu. Yes, I agree. John Boyega is best waifu. Much better than Rey. Anyway, let's see here. He keeps throwing shade. And in May 2019, Boyega promised he would share his true feelings regarding Star Wars following the release of The Rise of Skywalker. Boyega's promise came after a fan expressed their hope that Boyega would air his true feelings after Episode 9. Boyega replied, "Don't worry, I most definitely will." Fantastic, John Boyega. Fantastic. You better, John Boyega. We need to know these things. I think the world needs to know these things. Let's see here. The actor has most definitely been living up to his promise. In fact, in June 2019, he noted he was actively having discussions on the set of The Rise of Skywalker regarding Finn's character arc. Yeah, I remember that tweet. I have those discussions on set. Let's see here. In November, a month before The Rise of Skywalker hit theaters, Boyega detailed that he didn't realize the number of fans believe that Disney Star Wars team did Finn dirty without the sequel series. I really didn't know how many fans felt this way. Well, now you do, John Boyega. Now you do. Let's see here. Then in December, in an article promoting The Rise of Skywalker, Boyega explained that he felt Finn's role in The Last Jedi was a bit was a bit iffy. It was at the very least a bit iffy, John Boyega. It was a travesty. It was a travesty. It was an insult. It was an insult to anyone who would ever watch that movie. What they did to Finn. How dare they do that to a main character in a Star Wars movie? It's supposed to be a team. Okay, you're not supposed to have one foil for the main character. You're just supposed to have like one comedic relief character so the main character can look good. Shouldn't do that. none of the Star Wars movies. It should be all a team together. Star Wars has pretty much been about teamwork for, in many iterations. Let's see here. Look up to, not for his ideas, but how he dealt with them. He wrote wonderful stories instead of harming people in the world. Much better than SJWs. Exactly. Yeah, Lovecraft really didn't like, well, a lot of things. Lovecraft had a lot of problems. You could tell that probably by the stories he wrote. But he turned his problems into stories, into an interesting universe that still exists and thrives today. An SJW would put their problems and not create something, but put their problems on everyone else. My problems are everyone else's problems. That's what their idea is. Their mindset is. Let's see here. Then in December, the article promoting the Rise of Skywalker, Boyega explained that he felt Finn's role in Last Jedi was a bit iffy. Boyega explained, The Force Awakens, I think, was the beginning of something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being quite honest, I'd say was that was feeling a bit iffy for me. Thank you, John Boyega. The Last Jedi was at least iffy. Okay, it was horrible. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. As he elaborated, I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the other choices in that, and that's something that spoke to Mark Hamill about, and we had conversations about it. And it was hard for all of us because we were separated, because even Mark Hamill didn't like the way that Luke Skywalker is being portrayed. Even Mark Hamill hated it. But he was already contractually obligated to run it. And even Mark Hamill got into trouble because he threw shade at the sequels. I remember the famous tweet from Mark Hamill showing all three characters together again. Leia, Han, and Luke. And he says, "What could have been?" And instead of saying what could have been, he should have said what should have been. Okay, we should have had a reunion between Han, Luke, and Leia, a happy reunion. Because Luke Skywalker wanted to play, Mark Hamill wanted to play a Luke Skywalker that was the same Luke Skywalker that we had before. He wanted to play Luke Skywalker the same way. Okay? So in essence, Mark Hamill had the same feelings that we as Star Wars fans had towards the original trilogy. A lot of the defenders of The Last Jedi said, "Oh, you guys just wanted to see the same thing over and over again. You just wanted to have the same old thing. You hate things that are different and new." Well, Mark Hamill wanted the same thing. He wanted the same thing. He didn't want something new when it came to Luke Skywalker. He wanted to play the same Luke Skywalker he played all those years ago. He wanted to play an optimistic, heroic Luke Skywalker, but they took that from him, and he hated it. He absolutely hated it. And it's very clear how much he hated it. As a NEF champion, that's what made Lovecraft a healthy person. The fact that SJWs can't do that, then do the same, and would rather see other people canceled, makes them worse than Lovecraft ever was. I wholeheartedly agree. Lovecraft was their moral superior in every sense of the word. So they might say he's racist, but Lovecraft was far better than any SJW could ever be. And more recently, Boyega threw shade at Star Wars in general upon seeing his co-star Oscar Isaac in full armor dress as Duke Leto Atreides. That's it. He was the Duke Leto Atreides. Boyega stated, "YTF, we ain't get that in Star Wars." And yeah, he did that. Let's see, what's this? Oh, they made a video about it. Fantastic. Let's watch this, chat. Let's see what this has. Okay, hopefully we won't get taken down for that. Wait to skip over that. Probably copywritten song.
On guys, this is Ryan with RK Outpost, and John Boyega is not one to shy away from telling you how he feels, especially in regards to Disney Star Wars and the sequel trilogy. And as the sequel trilogy kind of comes to an end, we're hoping to hear more and more people that really start to speak out that worked at Lucasfilm or worked on the sequel trilogy. We heard Daisy Ridley.
So many people are speaking out. Daisy Ridley spoke out? That's interesting. But that shot of John Boyega right there, I'm pretty sure that's how most fans felt. I'm pretty sure that's how most Star Wars fans felt when they saw the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Just an overwhelming amount of rage.
Just the other day say that it was nice to have
They like to demonize these SJWs and Ryan Johnson, all these people who defend the Last Jedi. They like to demonize anger. The thing is, chat, You can't be angry about something unless you care about something. And these Star Wars fans, they love Star Wars. So when they see their favorite franchise ruined and sacrificed on the altar of politics and social justice, yes, they're going to be angry. Okay, it's not that they're taking this too seriously or putting too much passion into it. It's that they're passionate about it at all. That's why they demonize anger, because these SJWs, they don't have passion about anything. They don't. So they can't understand. So they demonize people who are angry about things, even though they're angry all the time about things. But they demonize you and belittle you and mock you for really, really liking franchises. Okay. And they say, "Oh, look, you're just angry man, baby. If you were a mature adult, you wouldn't be angry about this. You wouldn't be angry about how we ruined Star Wars." Yeah, they would be. They would be. Okay, they would be. Mature people get angry. Adult people get angry. Everyone gets angry. Getting angry is human. Okay, and seeing something you like being ruined is a very good excuse to be angry. Sorry, SJWs. That's the way it goes. Hang out with humans more. Stop hanging out with other NPCs. Okay, do the Johnny Five thing. Get some input. Do the data thing. Learn how to be human.
Real Luke Skywalker back. We know Daisy Ridley has kind of thrown a little shade at The Last Jedi before, but no one who's been a part of this has thrown more shade than John Boyega, and he continues to do so. This time in regards to Oscar Isaac and his new movie Dune that is really highly anticipated. Some of the shots that came out from that looked absolutely awesome. Now there's been a lot of talk about potential identity politics in it, some gender swap role. That's not what this video is going to be about. This one's going to be focused on John Boyega and him shading Star Wars.
That's what I've heard too, chat. At the Dune movie, they're going to slather their agenda all over that movie, chat. That's what I've heard. There's going to be gender swap roles. There's going to be all kinds of stuff in there. It's probably good. I'm surprised they're not going to make Paula Atreides a woman. Well, they might. Actually, they might. I don't know. But they might be. I don't know if they make Paula Atreides. They could just change her to Paula Atreides. They change her to Paula Atreides. Make her a woman. And make all the bad guys men and all that stuff. You know, the usual go around how we see that now. Let's see, Gojira 387. Thank you much for the comment here. Remember, they are destroying our gods only so that they can replace them with their own new gods. Essentially, yes, they're destroying our own modern myths so they can replace it with new modern myths, and we have no choice but to respect theirs. Unfortunately for them, we still live in a capitalist society. So if they destroy our old modern myths, we can make new ones in their image.
Once again, so let's take a look at it. John Boyega throws shade at Disney Star Wars sequels after seeing Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto Atreides in Dune. Star Wars actor John Boyega, who played Finn in the Disney sequel trilogies, threw some shade at the films while hyping his Star Wars co-star Oscar Isaac's upcoming role as Duke Leto Atreides in Dune. Boyega took to Twitter to react to recently released photos of him as Duke Leto Atreides. He wrote, "Fucking hell, Oscar, #Dune." And I gotta admit, this is a pretty badass picture of Oscar Isaac. A lot of these pictures look pretty sick. They're really simple, but I'm really liking the aesthetic that has come out. And this one for sure. And Oscar Isaac is a dude who kind of takes over a lot of movies that he is in. I've seen a lot of great movies with Oscar Isaac.
I see Dr. Crow. The God Emperor man will be Trump calling it now. I think they might make a Baron Harkonnen. They might make him Trump. he was kind of orange and fat in the Lynch movie.
But somehow in the Disney sequel trilogy, Poe is just an afterthought. None of these characters had any chemistry. It was kind of a shame that you had someone like Oscar Isaac in there just relegated to a backseat role in the sequel trilogy. But you can see the comment right there.
Well, to be fair, everyone in the sequel trilogy of Star Wars had a backseat role, unless you were Rey. Rey was the only character that had a front seat role. Everyone else was backseat and secondary, and pretty much just there to make sure that you knew as the audience that Rey was awesome.
However, that's not all John Boyega said. However, in what now appears to be a deleted comment, Boyega threw some shade at the Disney sequel trilogies. He wrote, here, I'll just show it right here. So he says, YTF, so why the fuck we ain't get that in Star Wars? And then a bunch of sad faces. Now, This is not a surprise. Again, we have talked about John Boyega constantly.
By the way, Chet, that's the incident I was referring to last time, or just a while ago, that we covered last time. We covered the previous instance of John Boyega throwing shit at Disney Star Wars sequels, and this is it. This is when said, why didn't we get that in Star Wars? It looks so good here. Let's just see what he's saying.
Whether it's whether it's clapping back to fans who are talking to him and basically saying his feelings about Star Wars, whether it's sitting there and saying it's a ridiculous idea for anyone to compare Anakin Skywalker and Rey or Kylo, that Anakin would absolutely wipe the floor with them. We have heard John Boyega over and over and over again, whether it's pointing and laughing, whether it's calling these people out, saying that the sequel trilogy is basically just been trashed. You can tell how he feels about it. It's very obvious. And we'll get in some other responses that he had and some other fans as well on Twitter. Now, I do have to give a shout out to That Tug Life and My Nerdy Home. They both sent me screenshots because they follow him on Instagram to prove that this was true before this was even in this Bounding into Comics article.
Anyway, I have to watch the whole thing. Even more recently, Boyega described that Disney should be embarrassed. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Even more recently, Boyega described that Disney should be embarrassed by the rise of Skywalker, and that film is their problem. The film is their problem. Oh, Boyega is showing no mercy, and Disney deserves none. Hex Harper, thank you much for the $4.99. Appreciate that. Rey had the front seat in a self-driving car. No active input on driving the plot. Very good. Very good. That's exactly what happened. Pretty much exactly what happened. The plot kind of drove itself. While Rey was the driver of the car, the car kind of drove itself. She was not driving the plot. If the car was the plot, she was not driving it. She was just kind of going along for the ride. And see, Penny, I think the best thing for Star Wars franchise is to do a hard reboot. A remake the first movies with the same events and no added wokeness. I don't think they'll ever do that because that'd be admitting defeat. But they should. They should just declare the sequels to be non-canon. Let's see here. So the film is their problem. The comments came after Boyega described the people trying to pretend to be him online and said they were embarrassing him. Oh yeah, I remember him mentioning that at one point. Boyega wrote on Twitter, "If you're going to pretend to be me online, slide into them DMs with chest and charm. You trolls are embarrassing me, man." Yeah, basically, I think what he's saying is that if you're going to try to be me, at least try to be as charming as as awesome as me. You know, that's the best way to troll the trolls. I see. Yeah, that's it. So one person replied stating, "Can't be as embarrassing as Rise of Skywalker," and he says, "Embarrassing? Lol, you wish. Very fulfilling. Some disappointments, but yet not that big of a deal. Everyone has moved on." And the person would reply, "You have no reason to be embarrassed by that movie. Disney, however, yeah." And Boyega said, "Literally, that's their problem, LOL." And it is. It's not Boyega's problem. He was acting in that movie. It's Disney's problem. Disney is the one that ruined it. Disney is the one that ruined Star Wars. I mean, mainly by hiring Rian Johnson, but Rian Johnson is the man who pulled the trigger. But Disney's the one that hired him. But that's one I like that. I just like seeing things like that, where John Boyega, the actors of the Star Wars sequels, go after the Star Wars sequels, telling us the truth that they were awful and terrible. And yeah, he might have had a great time acting on it and on set, but the movies are still terrible. Let's see here. Oh, yes. A couple more videos here, chat. Some videos to pull up. There's one by That Umbrella Guy. He covered an interesting event that happened concerning a DC and how they're kind of they're still curating their own fan base, it seems. Let's check it out.
Comic book from Ethan Van Sciver, you know, one of those terrible wrong thinkers, and telling a friend about it on Discord could get you banned from your favorite Reddit posting. Not only that, but this is coming from DC Comics Reddit posting, which interestingly enough, Ethan Van Sciver worked for. So apparently,
So the thing is, that umbrella guy found he was, I guess he was surfing Reddit or something, and he found an instance where people are actively getting banned multiple times just for mentioning Ethan Van Sciver and Comicsgate. So they are so butthurt about it. You will be instantly banned off of DC's Reddit for wrong think essentially. Hatch 450 SX, thank you much with 5. Appreciate that. Can I show White Dragon on Kickstarter? The OG Green Power Ranger, Jason David, Frank trying to crowdfund a movie. He needs to help. He needs a help only Kickstarter. I'll back. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a big kind of a pushback against Kickstarter, and because they are run by social justice warriors. But yeah, I mean that's the Green Ranger is awesome. I like the Green Ranger. So yeah, go. I heard he was doing a crowdfunded movie actually. So yeah, go check out White Dragon on Kickstarter. See if you like it. See if it's interesting to you. I might check it out after the stream actually. Let's see here. So Fats, don't say the no word exactly. Can't say the no word. Can't say the. But I like how Edith Van Sciver has pretty much become the Voldemort in the comic book community. Can't say his name. It gives him more power.
Buying something from the guy that revitalized Green Lantern, yeah, that will get you kicked off a posting group from DC Comics. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. So hey there. So today we return to that wonderful world of comic books where we have a crossover edition with Reddit. And yeah, apparently from talking in Discord, you can get banned from certain posting places out there. So the conversation that we're tuning into, it starts out on Discord where a person thinks they're talking to another artist friend, and well, you can see exactly the vibe from it. Hey man, it starts out, I got my copy of Cyberfrog. I know you hate EVS, but this made my week. I also might have got my hands on a black velvet poster of the Punisher's skull. You know, hey, and then you have the person's name said again. That person comes back and says, "Ugh, Cyberfrog, I can't believe you support that idiot bigot." I was at work. We actually had work today. Was a nice change of pace. I'm comic starved, okay, they say. That's the person's name. I'm redacting all of that. You can't expect a guy to go cold turkey in 2 weeks. Besides, it came in a honeycomb box with original art. Plus, the whole Comicsgate BS is just drama.
I like this. Hey man, I got my copy of Cyberfrog. I know you hate EVS, but this has made my week. And the thing is, it's not about people like buying from him because he's so good with customers. He's doing what the comic book pros from DC and Marvel refuse to do, and that's make excellent and solid relationship with customers and do customer service. Do excellent customer service. So, well, DC and Marvel are just trying to shill out low-grade products to you and demand your money. EVS is constantly putting together new things that'll spark your interest, giving you more value for your dollar. So that's what he's mad about. Well, that's why he's so happy about it. It's like I probably wouldn't like EVS so much if he was treating me so badly, but he's not. He's treating me great. Like he treats his fans and his customers like royalty.
I don't care about. I'm the dude on one sideline with a bag of popcorn watching two sides go at it. You're funding it though, the person says, which is awful. I'd rather buy a bunch of digital.
I like you saying things like this. Like I'm just watching both sides go at it, but I'm buying his product anyway. That means that even that his customer service and his campaigns are so good. His product that he's offering is so good. Even the people who don't like him are happy with it, and that's saying something. As a Punished Berserker, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. Indiegogo has much better projects to back than Kickstarter anyway. Like for example, Dr. Alpha Miracle Child available now. Yes, Dr. Alpha Miracle Child available on Indiegogo and only on Indiegogo. And yeah, so as I've seen, there's so many excellent projects on Indiegogo. And that's why I usually just back projects on Indiegogo, mainly because of the whole SJW situation on Kickstarter. But I'm not opposed. I'm not just vehemently opposed to backing Kickstarter like everyone else is. If there's something interesting on Kickstarter that I like, and it's only available on Kickstarter, I will back it. I'll back it because but I will choose if it's on Indiegogo and Kickstarter because some people do that. I will back it on Indiegogo. But thank you very much. Thank you very much, Punish Berserker. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I think you're the producer on several shows, I believe.
Comics or even buy a stack of trades, then ever support that. Those aren't even out yet. I'm up to date with everything except the last 2 weeks. There are plenty.
Daniel Lindsay, can we please try to get these places 230 rules removed, since this is proof of them editing the post and allowed certain things? I don't know. We could try. They like to. I know that people like to. Everyone likes to police things these days. They like to police things that go against the narrative and things.
Of trades out there that Amazon has to offer. Yeah, and you have to wait a month to get them because they're DI prioritized. Also, please don't judge me. I just wanted my books back. Hell, I'm even trying out indies. I will judge, actually, because EVS is plain wretched. I don't know, man. Then they get into the mindset I very much understand as someone that loves the medium. Again, I haven't had my dose of what is heroin from a comic book nerd in 2 weeks. Plus, I don't look at the drama. I just wanted something.
So it seems like the only people that are opposed to buying from EVS are people who are actively hate him, think you still think he's a bigot or something. So if you're everyone else, if you're indifferent to, if you love him, if you're indifferent, even if you just mildly dislike him, if you run the spectrum from love to mildly dislike, his product still appeals to you because he's not running off of just sheer popularity. He's running off of good business tactics and giving the customer something of value to have and trying to pump up the value of the dollar, which is something that Marvel and DC has gone the other direction on. They have lowered the quality of their comic books and then increased the price of those same comic books. So they've decreased the value for the dollar. Well, EVS has increased the value for the dollar. The much better tactic, I think. Much better tactic.
Physical I could hold in my hand and read. I got digital, I got physical, but nothing recent. I'm just suffering here, dude. Before DC's Marvel's Reddits, I just read my books and look forward to the next Wednesday where I could dive deep into my books and forget the world existed, you know? It was medication from the bullies, the realities of life, shitty things that I needed to close myself off of. With Diamond and by all the other artists, why him? Because I did. It doesn't mean I support him or I care what they do. I just want something to read. Why not?
Okay, I think we got the idea on that one. Let's see if we can skip forward a little bit. Till we get to the juicy parts. Okay, here we go. Get to the juicy parts. Got to the juicy parts, chat. Let's rewind a little bit. Make sure we have it in this. Make sure we have enough internet gas to produce this. 1 second here. 1 second. Okay, got it back up. Make sure to share audio. And here we go.
I'm a guy sitting on the sidelines reading my books while both sides nuke each other. And again, you notice the time there. So 10:32 goes to 10:58 and boom, this person is banned on r/DC Comics. No reason given. Why? Because they bought that freaking comic book there. You get.
See, chat, they were banned. It said, well, you know, I don't really like Ethan at Skyrim, but he produces good products. What can I say? I'm starved. It's a place people go to discuss comic books. Okay, DC's kind of, you know, bread and butter a little bit. And because he backed the wrong person, because he bought a comic book that was produced by the No Man, the Pie Man, he was banned off the Reddit or the Discord or whatever it was. You have been permanently banned for participating in our DC Comics.
Get this too. You've been permanently banned from participating in r/DC Comics. You have been permanently banned from participating in. You can still view and subscribe to it, but you won't be able to post or comment. Note from the moderators. If you have any question regarding your ban here, you can contact the moderation team. Reminder from Reddit staff. You see all of that. So here they have confirmation of why they're banned. Why was I banned? I did nothing wrong. You messaged a moderator to ask about a Comicsgate support comic book on Discord. This after being warned about making jokes related to Richard Meyer, Brian Bendis, and Alphabet people receiving a 6-month ban. Now the joke.
This user was banned before. Okay, is banned before for wrongthink. Let me translate this for you, Chad. You message a moderator to ask about a Comicsgate supporting comic book on Discord. After returning for you message a moderator. Okay, here's why you're banned. You message a moderator and you expressed wrongthink to the moderator, and so he banned you for 6 months. And then you came back and you not only expressed wrongthink again by saying that you'd like Ethan Van Sciver, you participated in it. You backed his book. You committed wrongthink. So you're banned permanently now. This is where they are, chat. They're so butthurt. They're so threatened, and they're so filled, and they're so entrenched in their politics that they will ban you for wrongthink because you support independent creators. That's the current state of DC Comics. The moderators will ban you for wrongthink. Oh, and they wonder why their sales are down. There's alienating the few customers they have left. Let's see here, chat. What else do we have, chat? What else do we have? Plenty of nonsense to go around. Plenty of nonsense. Okay, so people, do you still remember why, you still remember Gotham High? I'm pretty sure you do, unless you expunge it from your memory. Then you probably remember Gotham High when we covered it. Took me two streams to cover it. I say Semantic Dragon, 2 counts of wrongthink. Yes, 2 counts of wrongthink. That's all you get. You get 1 warning. And 6 months, you get a 6-month ban as a warning for your first incident of wrongthink. Second incident of wrongthink, permaban. Let's see here. Geeky Vicky, the guy was neutral and supported them. Yeah, he was neutral. He was not a Comicsgate fanatic or a big fan of Comicsgate or anything like that. He was neutral, and they banned him for being neutral and not actively anti-Comicsgate. Let's see here. 1 second. Is that we have a? I'm not sure if we covered this already or not, but I've just some guy kind of goes into the idea of why a young adult graphic novels won't save the comic book industry. Let's check it out, chat. Let's check it out.
Claim that the way to save the comic book industry would be by appealing to the most fickle group of people on the face of the planet: middle school girls and cat ladies.
I'm going to go ahead and pause, mute that real quick. There we go. Middle schoolers and cat ladies. Those are the ones those are the new demographics, chat. If you're not a middle school girl or a cat lady, then they don't want your business. They don't want your business.
Posted 2 articles about how trades and graphic novels are paving the way to a new, young, fresh audience, even though that's not entirely true. The first argument was that publishers should move away from single-issue releases to trades and graphic novels. To clarify, a trade is a collection of single-issue comics. It may include only a single story arc, or it may include an entire print run, usually marking the volume numbers on the side. A graphic novel is a complete story written for that format. There is a little overlap with stories like Watchmen, which is technically one and done, but was released as single issues. In general, though, if it's part of an ongoing series, it's a trade. If it's meant to be one and done, it's a graphic novel. CBR's argument is that the comic book retailers gamble on the saleability of single issues, having to eat the cost of the books they can't sell, partly because the books aren't returnable, and that the old issues have a limited shelf life. Their numbering systems and constant relaunches also make it hard for newcomers to know where to start. To someone like me, this seems like first world problems. Back in my day, you picked up a comic and read it, and writers would include information about the character's powers and history in the book, or at least add a caption telling you where you could read the full story. If they did,
now you don't. They used to do that. Now they don't. Instead of telling you, so they'll have the same thing, but instead of telling you their powers and things, they'll say, "This is the new character we have. This person is a non-conformist, non-binary, anarchist, feminist person. That's it." They'll just tell you all the labels that they have. They won't tell you about the powers. They might hint on the powers, but mostly they'll just concentrate on their sexuality, their gender, their race, and their history in the background, all the stuff that the SJWs and NPCs are really concerned about. not the stuff that the reader is concerned about, but the stuff that the creator is concerned about. So, in other words, the boring stuff that we don't care about.
Too bad. Keep reading and deal with it. However, printing books as trades would eliminate some of that, especially if the reading order is marked on the book. Of course, you always run the risk that if someone can't find the first volume or is missing one in between, they may not buy the book because they don't want to miss out on the story. I've seen this happen with many a manga title. People want to read the books in order, but half the series isn't on the shelf, so they just stop reading. CBR also argues that the reason for printing trades is that some series don't sell well as single issues, but allegedly do better as trades. Quote, for example, The Unstoppable Wasp and Iceman had low sales number during their original monthly runs, but when they went to trade, they had sudden increase in sales, so much that Marvel brought both of them back for more issues. No. According to Comic-Con, Iceman's first trade only had 1,315 orders. The second volume had 959 orders. The same with The Wasp, which was so insanely popular that, as far as I can tell, Marvel didn't collect the series into a trade until 2019, even though the first run of the series began in 2017. They released 2 volumes of the first few issues from both the 2017 and 2018 runs in the same month, which is totally not confusing. And even then, we're looking at only 807 for one and 774 for the other in comic shops. But these low number sales tell you something about them.
As the usual trend you get with the SJW Comics chat, we've seen this before. We've seen them going down the numbers before, but usually how it goes is they will put that's why they put out new number ones so often. They'll cancel the series and put out a new series, same creators, same characters, but they just restarted with a new number one. And that's why they do that, because number ones are the only way they can really sell comic books. Along with the 30 variant covers or something. Okay. And it's essentially what happens with these comic books, because no one wants these books, chat. No one is interested. Even when they're tied up in a trade, no one is interested, because there's a reason why it goes down so significantly. When you go down to the second issue and the third issue and the fourth issue, they usually go down from they usually have an okay sales rate with the number one, and then it kind of halves. It goes down by half, and then it kind of just dies down until they can't sell it anymore. And then they cancel it and say it was a mini series, and then they restart it with a new number one to continue, rinse and repeat. That's how it goes, because no one wants this stuff. People learn really quickly that this is garbage, and they kind of cancel it and restart because no one buys it. No one buys it. Let's see here.
The market. Trades aren't bringing people in, not on the scale CBR implies. It works with manga because that's the main way people were introduced to it. Manga also features a cohesive long-form story, whereas American comics can be one-and-done one-shots to sprawling maxi-series. It's much harder to publish comics like that in trade format. CBR's other claim is that young adult graphic novels bring in new readers. They spun this off into its own article claiming, quote, many of these are aimed at middle grade and young adult audiences, with art and character renditions that reconstruct the DC universe to appeal to those age groups. DC has seen tremendous success with these projects so far. With the comics industry in a bit of a tailspin currently, it's possible DC's early foray into publishing graphic novels that reimagine classic characters could become a model for other publishers down the line. No. First off, DC isn't targeting kids. They're targeting girls and cat ladies. It's really odd too, because aside from having very creepy bad touch aunties hanging around the children's book section, DC is completely ignoring boys. The people who tend to really like visual mediums like comics.
And that's absolutely true. I don't know why, but the Marvel strategy, Star Wars strategy, and Star Trek strategy, all these strategies of these popular franchises seem to have amounted to, here's our fan base that has given us money for reliably given us success and money and affection for decades, and generations of these fans have done so. And on the other hand, there's people who don't give us the time of day. I know. Here's a brilliant idea. Let's alienate the fans that have been giving us dedication for decades, and let's go after the people who wouldn't pee on us if we were on fire. That's something a good idea. Something a good idea to me. That's where their mindset goes, chat. That's how these people think. That's how they think. They say, well, let's go after these people who don't care. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna miss someone. Hopefully I didn't. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. But I think KH sent me a super chat. Unfortunately, I didn't see it. And I can't find it anymore. I can't find it in the chat anymore, I don't think. So I can't put it up on screen, unfortunately. Apologize about that. But KH, thank you much for the 2. Appreciate that. Good morning, LD. Hope you have a nice day. Hope you have a nice day too, KH. Thank you much. Appreciate that. I apologize. I couldn't. I must have missed it. I couldn't put it on screen. But thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's right. This some guy was going over the obvious point that, well, that's obvious to anyone, that maybe you should be concentrating on appealing to boys and not to people who never bought your comics before. Okay, just concentrate on appealing to boys and not middle school girls who won't ever buy your comics. DC, it's not en masse, no matter what you do.
I assume they're doing this because they think boys will read the real comics. They won't. But it's...
This is the author. What happened to media? We had good comics, good shows, good movies, and then some idiots came around and shrieked black lesbians. Then social justice came around. Yeah, social justice ruins everything. It's poison. That's how Rome fell, you know.
Really weird to never make YA.
But seriously, social justice is poison. Don't get anywhere near it. Don't let it into your franchises, chat. It has ruined everything.
Books targeting them. That's not to say there aren't any books with male leads. There are a few Bruce Wayne and Super Son books, but even those appear to target girls or a general audience, not necessarily boys specifically. It's a strange choice given how much boys tend to like superheroes and the overall lack of a male audience in the YA market. Of all the things you should have no problem getting little boys who've grown up with the MCU to do, it should be reading a comic book. But both Marvel and DC seem to avoid doing this at all costs. It's like, dude, nobody's asking you to care about boys. Don't be ridiculous. We all know that if all boys die right now, there'd be like 5 people at both companies who'd even bat an eye. You're just being asked to take their money. That said, targeting a female audience is fine. It's just not as successful as CBR implies. They cite the book Under the Moon, a Catwoman tale, as a massive hit. It was on the bestsellers list, even though you can literally buy your way onto those lists. The numbers found on Comicron suggest otherwise. It debuted at number 1 with 4,936 orders, which is pretty strong. Also glad to see Middle West up at the top. It's the best comic you're not reading. Go buy Middle West. As for the second month for Under the Moon, it dropped down to just 315 orders. The third month went down to 296. It didn't even chart the next month. Again, these numbers don't include the book scan numbers for bookstore Scholastic.
Yeah, because people learn their lesson. They say, oh, look, this is horrible. No one wants this stuff. So I'm not going to buy anymore. Yeah, they don't want this stuff. Okay, people who are going to read YA novels don't want this stuff. It's just not going to happen. I think that's enough of that video for now. I just wanted to go over that for as long enough so that we can see why people don't. The YA novel direction is not exactly the right direction for the comic book industry to go, and they think that it is because comic books are mostly going to be sold now, and maybe like Barnes and Noble and stuff. That's what they think. So I think because it's going to be mostly sold in Barnes and Noble, that it's just I guess middle schoolers and cat ladies who go shop there, and no one goes there for comics apparently, even though there's plenty of comics in there. There's plenty of comics in Barnes and Nobles and there's other bookstores. But they think that because I think since if they go to the YA direction, that they'll get a skyrocket in sales from these middle school girls and stuff. I don't think that's going to be the case, as we've seen. Don't think it's going to be the case. Let's see here. Alexandra 74. Middle school girls don't want Batman in high school. They want to have shoujo manga, and they want to see big buff, charismatic Batman go after bad guys and defeat the bad guys and defend the weak. That's what they want to see. That's what everyone wants to see. So one more video chat. There's a I went over this and I thought about it, and I want to know if whether or not to show it or not, because it was shown and yeah, copyright strikes for this one, but we'll see, we'll take the chance on this because I think it's funny, and it's from I showed the other one. This is Mahler's or Mooper, and Mooper came out with 2 videos on April Fool's Day. We showed one, and I think I finally decided to show the other one. 20 days later, but still, I think it's funny. I think it's funny. I think everyone will still enjoy it, even though it's not April Fool's anymore. But it's just you just know that it was published on April Fool's, because April Fool's joke. It's made by Mahler, but under the guise of Mooper, who is one of these defenders who spend tens of minutes per video speaking about or talking about nothing, trying to sound smart while saying nothing at all. I think we'll enjoy it. See, DJM Voices, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. Imagine a high school end steakhouse or high-end steakhouse deciding, okay, we're exclusively marketing to vegans now. Yeah, it's essentially where we're at now, Chad. It's essentially where we're at now with Marvel and DC Comics. So imagine if, essentially what happens is that, okay, we are a comic book company. We're going to be selling to people who read YA novels. Essentially the same mindset as we're a high-end steakhouse. Let's start catering to vegans. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Penny Ivy. The most successful type of manga is shonen, which literally means boy. Yeah. I'll show you how that works, isn't it? You can't. There's some things you just can't change, DC and Marvel. This is some things you cannot change. Anyway, I think that people will like this. This is Mooper. He made this an April Fool's video by Mahler, pretending to be one of the Star Wars: The Last Jedi defenders that we like to make fun of and tear to pieces. All that good stuff.
Star Wars.
By the way, he uses a lot of Star Wars music, so if the stream goes down, that's probably why.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is good and occasionally triumphant. And I know how
this is amazing because he starts off exactly like how they would start off. It's because they don't usually put up an argument. They try to say that it's horrible. I mean, they try to say that it's good. It's excellent, or it's the greatest movie ever made, and they tell you why it exactly is. They don't argue why it is. They say, here's why it is, and here's why you're wrong if you don't think it is. But they say it's good and occasionally triumphant, and they'll say things like that. They'll say things that are like without any substance behind it. What does that even mean? So already Mahler knows it's clear that Mahler knows his critics. Already, I'm asking, what does that mean? What in the world does that mean? What do you mean occasionally triumphant? How can you be occasionally triumphant? So well done, Mahler. Well done, Mooper. You in 12 seconds. You recaptured the entire essence of these Reylo crazy weirdos immediately. And again, I'm not talking about the people who like The Last Jedi. I'm talking about the people who like The Last Jedi and say you're a terrible person for not liking The Last Jedi. Those are the people that I mean.
Half of you already disagree with me vehemently, but all I'm asking before we start is that you consider the possibility that a movie you loathe still has some strengths we can all learn from.
There's the reaching out of the fake olive branch. They'll say, "Oh, look, that sounds reasonable, right? That sounds reasonable. Sure, I can take that in. I can understand that. We can have maybe I can hate a movie and still acknowledge that it has strengths in it." And they go into the rest of the movie, the rest of the review, and they go into, if you are a bigot and a Nazi, if you do not like this movie, like okay, there you are. Baptist 702, thanks for the $9.99. Appreciate that. You should do a stream with RJ from the Fourth Age channel. He does phenomenal work on dissecting how SJW ideas infiltrate entertainment and education. It's compelling what he does. Yeah. I've watched some of his videos. Interesting stuff. If he wants to come on, then I guess I'll let him. If he wants to, anyway. If he wants to. But yeah, he's pretty good. The Fourth Age, interesting guy. Sometimes I forget to watch his videos, but the videos that I have watched, pretty interesting stuff. Pretty interesting.
The focus of the controversy around this piece of cinema has to do with how it challenges the legacy of its own franchise. When it comes to the Disney era of Star Wars, The Force Awakens gave us, the audience, what we wanted.
I really like how he's using the same very slow way of speaking that they do. They try to draw it out so it kind of like hypnotizes you or something. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is good and occasionally triumphant. It gets way better, chat. Believe me, it gets way better. If I remember correctly.
Chewie, we're home.
The Last Jedi.
Like he says, it challenges its own franchise, and I love it. I love when he says the things like this because it means nothing, chat. It means nothing. It sounds good, but it means nothing unless you explain it. So I love it. I love it. It's so good. It's essentially the same essence, the same energy as Paula Smith's Mary Sue. It does all the things that she makes fun of, but in a mocking manner. It's incredible. See the author thing, which of the two? As Eric of Morecambe once said, rubbish. Very good. Very good.
I challenged what we wanted.
No, you're still holding on! Let go!
And this final chapter...
It didn't... it challenged what we wanted, chat. It didn't come out and acknowledge what we wanted and then gave us the opposite as a middle finger to our faces. It challenged what we wanted. Okay, this is brilliant. This is brilliant, Mooper. Our Mauler is brilliant.
Asks us if we've been given what we needed.
Some things are stronger than blood. Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi.
And just like Star Wars entering the modern arena, what we all need is identity. Today I want to look at this masterpiece of
He does that too, because a lot of these Star Wars Last Jedi defenders, they highlight words as if they mean something. Like sometimes they'll say identity and put it on the screen, and he makes fun of that too. I believe, I remember correctly. And let's see the Badger 702. It's one thing to challenge its own canon. It's quite another to just deconstruct its venomous undertones because of an evil philosophy such as social justice. Exactly, as I keep saying. Sometimes we don't need deconstruction. Sometimes we just want to go see a Star Wars movie to see a Star Wars movie. Okay, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, and sometimes a cigar should just be a cigar, not a deconstruction of what a cigar should be. Okay, sometimes we just need that. Sometimes we just need to smoke a cigar. Even Sigmund Freud, relented every once in a while. Sometimes you just need something that's just what it is. But no, all these SJW creators these days, they're all obsessed with being their own specific little geniuses. They all want to deconstruct the next big thing. And as a result, we have the deconstruction has become the norm rather than the occasional exception. GBOF Sid, thank you very much for the 10. Appreciate that. Do you heard of Actual Context as anti-confiscate YouTuber? Is Comic Book Hut SJW politics? Yeah, Comic Book Hut is silly. He's a silly, funny person. I'll say that. He runs a anti-confiscate fetish channel. It's really interesting. It's not interesting. It's interesting on how bad it is because he's just there spreading propaganda. Comic Book Hut is just awful. It's awful. Let's see here. DJM Voices. Mahler nailed this one. I kept feeling the need to protest points and reminding myself it's a joke. Yeah, he does a really good job. Mahler really knows what he's doing when he's mocking his own critics by making a video in the style of the people he critiques. This is the author. Thank you for the 2. Appreciate that. It's pronounced Morecambe, but okay. Morecambe. Okay, appreciate that.
Trilogy and dissect in detail the dramatic bedrock upon which all of its themes are built.
Themes.
You can still hate
love its
what the
themes.
stories choose to say, but you cannot deny the expertise in delivery of the lesson. First,
That's exactly the same thing. You cannot deny that you can hate the story, but you cannot deny the expertise that was the lessons. I can because the way it is is that the story is how it's delivered. I love it. This is fantastic, Mulder. That's exactly what they do. This double thing. It's double thing. You can hate the story, but you can't hate how the themes were, how well the themes were given to you. Like, yes, I can. Because if I hate the story, you hate the way the themes are given to you because they're both terrible. And the story is terrible, and the way the themes are given to you also terrible. And my themes, Mulder even added in my themes.
You have to discover whether or not your story needs to be very clear with what the conflict is and why it matters. I think it's advantageous to discuss this in regard to The Rise of Skywalker because this film has 3 distinct character journeys, and each of them answer the claims posed by the foundation of storytelling while being surrounded by satellite characters, supporting that thematic nuance.
Satellite character. Have you even noticed what he's doing? It's kind of interesting because he's doing a style of the people he usually critiques. These crazy people who think you're a bad person for not liking Last Jedi. He's doing it in the style that they would, but he's actually mocking it. He's actually giving backhanded mockery to the movies while he does it. It's good that she was surrounded by. Essentially, what he just said was that it's good that Rey was surrounded by characters that didn't matter because that's how it better highlighted. It did a better job of highlighting how great she was. Like we always say.
So let's begin with part 1. Wants versus...
They do this too, all the time, with nice fancy font. They have parts and all that good stuff. No, I stopped doing that because it's worthless. It's needless. I don't need to put parts in my videos. I think I did that maybe once, maybe twice. I stopped it. Because there's no need to stop the video to tell us what part it is. Let's continue on with the video.
Needs. The first question of identity is what a character wants versus what they need, and how do these wants and needs conflict with each other in the character. Wants and needs are pretty well established ideas in storytelling. Both of these books lean heavily on these ideas, though King calls wants the mind, while Truby calls the needs the soul. But it's the same thing. Basically, a character is an expletive...
This is my favorite. Maybe we back it up a little bit.
King calls wants the mind, while Truby calls the needs the soul.
They always do this also. They always reference books that they might not have never have read. Here's some books to reference. We won't explain the books. We'll just show you the books and then tell you what they said. They won't give you the context or the entire quote or go into these things or go into what they mean. So they say Stephen King said this. So let me back it up a little bit.
Both of these books lean heavily on these ideas, though King calls wants the mind, while Truby calls the needs the soul. But
so King calls wants the mind, while Truby calls needs the soul. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? Go into that. They usually don't explain the book or where it's from or the context of these quotes. They just show the book. And if you don't know what the book is or the people they're talking about, then you're out of luck because you're not going to get an explanation of what these people are. Dr. Crow, thanks for $1.99. I read a book once. Yeah, exactly. That's what they want you to know. That's why they put these books up here because they want you to know that they read a book once and that they're smarter than us, Chad. They're smarter than us. Punished Berserker, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. All I have to say is the themes. Exactly. The Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker is good because of themes and not because of what's actually in the movie. your typical argumentation here.
But it's the same thing. Basically, a character is an expletive representation of conflicting wants and needs. You just can't be too obvious with them, or you'll end up with a bad screenplay. So, what's the difference between the mind and the soul in storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, they usually explain it within their terms, but this is funny because what did Trudy mean by needs are the soul? How does that pertain to anything? Tell us what he meant by it, what his example by it. If you're going to use him, you have to bring it in. You have to accept and acknowledge their point of view on why they said that. They don't, though. They say, "Oh, look, this guy's a fancy name. He wrote a book once. He sounds interesting. I'll just use his quote and then use his quote for my own purposes without actually having to explain it." To the author, thank you much for the two. Appreciate that. The floor is made of floor. Very profound. Very profound. Thank you very much, the author. I appreciate your insight. Fantastic. Awesome. Awesome stuff, chat. Awesome stuff.
The mind is primal, mammalian, an organ dependent and despondent through decades of decadence. Minds relate to like power, money, status. As Truby postulates, a character will begin their journey relentlessly pursuing their mind's desire. However, this inevitably leads to dissatisfaction due to the want in some way being immoral or misguided. It's not the thing they actually need to solve their problems. Needs are, according to King, the soul, what the hero must fulfill within the self in order to have a superior existence. When a character does what they need to do, we can see what the lesson, theme, and moral of the story is. Let's start with Rey, since her arc is the most overt. Rey wants to discover...
As we all know, chat, her arc is the most overt. She's the only one with... Well, she doesn't even have an arc, does she? She's the only one who is... I guess she has the most screen time? I don't know. It goes into this. It's really funny. I really enjoy this. Good job, Mahler. Good job.
Her identity at any cost to the world around her. She's reckless and unfocused when we meet her.
I'm never touching that thing again. I don't want any part of this.
This is...
That sounds weird. That sounds strange out of context. I'm not touching that thing again. Okay. Stop it. Stop it. I'm never touching that thing again. And I need someone to show me my place in this universe.
Traumatized by The Last Jedi when she is brought to her second act low point of the trilogy by the posthumous villain Kylo Ren. At this point, Rey has nothing. She is left to discover that her nightmare has come true. Her want to be a part of some great family to define her identity for her is lost.
Starting to think it isn't possible. Hear the voices of the Jedi who came before.
She likely entered a Great Depression in the years we didn't see her, and upon meeting her once again, she is...
I was like how he did this thing that they do is they just constantly litter you with clips from the movie that might not even pertain to what they're talking about. You have to yourself make the connections. So usually you would have a video essay talk about something and then show you a clip that pertains to what they're talking about and tell you exactly how and why the clip they're showing you connects to what you're talking about. But no, what they usually do is they talk about something and they just show you a clip and you're supposed to make the connections for yourself. Basically you're filling in the holes for them. You're doing the work for them. And the only time they really point out a scene like Mahler did or Mooper did just now and let you hear it and really highlight it, they stop talking so they can highlight it, is usually a clip that happens for like 2 seconds or so. It's a really small, very small, insignificant little cut from the movie, so that they can isolate it and they can look like the point has more substance than it actually does. I see Alex Helen from thank you very much for the 5. Appreciate that. The Lovecraft anime has a Yuri and a Yaoi character. Has Yuri and Yaoi characters, so everything must have gay characters. So say Bagel Theory. Bagel Theory, yes. You cannot forget Bagel Theory. That's what Bagel Theory is what brought the Star Wars sequels to its prominence. Punish Berserker, thank you much for the 2. Appreciate that. The only thing flatter than Ray's arc is her chest. It's mean, very hurtful. Let's see here. Lucky Jinx, get your mind out of the gutter, LD. Oh, Ray said it.
Comforted, despite clear bemusement by the very idea of being truly alone.
You're the best fighter we have. We need you. Out there, not here. Junior.
Ray has
and being comforted. She's not being comforted. She's giving someone a hug. This is what they do. This is why they do that, because it looks like she's being comforted, but she's not. She's having a small hug, and she's not really comforted like that throughout the movie. This is a hug with Leia. Well, there's a lot of hugging in the movie. But it's not being comforted that much. It's mostly about the adventure, mostly in The Rise of Skywalker. Let's see here. But since you are talking about it, and you just happen to be playing the clip in the background where she's hugging someone, okay. Now it looks like we kind of instantly fill in the cracks there, chat. Kind of instantly fill in the cracks for them. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And that's how they do. That's how the critics that Molly usually covers, at least as far as defending Last Jedi go. That's how they act. That's how that's the way they produce things. And see, Hex Harper, thank you for the 499. Appreciate that. The ramblings of the ultimate warrior are less word salad than the SJW analysis. And the guy reads like a gibbering shell of a man after seeing Cthulhu. If you listen to any of these Jedi defenses, Last Jedi defenses, they seem like they don't have much, because I don't know what it is, but they kind of seemingly try to hide the fact that they have nothing behind a word salad that you really have to concentrate to understand. This barrage you with large word, multisyllabic word after multisyllabic word, to confuse you and to hypnotize you, I suppose. Usually, from my experience, people who use large words like all the time in place of the modern vernacular is they're trying to hide the fact that they don't actually have anything. Like it's fine to use large words every once in a while, but as Einstein said, if you can't put it simply, then you don't know it well enough. Which is why, seemingly to me, all these argumentations that the Last Jedi defenders put forward are not that great, and the overuse of large multisyllabic words is kind of indicative of that. It's because you use a lot of large words doesn't mean you don't understand or anything like that, but it's kind of a red flag. It's kind of like seeing the color blue or seeing the color red. They're not poisonous, but seeing them on an animal like a frog or something kind of tells you that the frog is poisonous, but the colors themselves are not. It's kind of like that. So using the large words a lot and often doesn't mean that you don't know what you're saying. It doesn't mean that you're trying to hide the fact that you have no idea what you're doing. But it's kind of a red flag. Okay, it's sort of that situation.
Less internal confliction than other characters, but all that's required for growth is a few moments where she second guesses her instincts before acting.
You're mine. It's the Death Star. It's a bad place.
The only family you have here is me.
It's subtle.
Her character growth, chat, is 3 instances in the movie. 3 small little clips that you have to make your own connections to believe the point of. Well done, Mahler. This is exactly what happens. This is exactly what happens. I think, but it gets better. This video gets better as it goes on.
And unspoken, but the sense that she is conflicted about doing something that she knows Leia would disapprove of is palpable. Now, Finn is much more complex. He's got a lot.
Finn is much more complex. I forgot what his argument here is, but it's no doubt going to be fantastic. Also, she didn't hesitate on something that Leia wasn't going to approve of. She didn't hesitate really at all. It's kind of like, okay, here's information. Now it's time to act. Kind of just cut it off before she starts acting. Before she makes the move to continue the plot. But that's what happens. They show you a small snippet of something, of the movie so that their point looks valid when it really isn't. It's why we get so many instances of when you're covering one of these defense, like a real one, not a joke one, but one of the real ones. That's why you get so many instances of, did you watch the movie? Because of course they watched the movie, but they need to clip these things really short so that they look like they're correct. Punished Berserker, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. Multicolored frogs aren't poisonous. They're just really spicy. Yeah. It is really, really spicy.
Lot of plot-oriented goals, things like getting Rey to dissuade her destiny and connect with her family that she's found along the way, or appealing to Ben Solo directly. But what he actually wants on a character level is external validation. He wants to hear that his decisions are important, therefore so is he. His actions are directly reticent to the institution he is a part of. On screen, the villainous characters are constantly espousing that he must behave.
Oh, that one was my favorite. That was my favorite. Let's go back, chat. I love that. I love this. Come here.
But what he actually wants on a character level is external validation.
So what he wants on a character level is word salad. What he wants from a character level is external validation. I love this. It's fantastic. So what he wants on an external level, what he wants, chat. Okay, so according to this, there's wants and needs, the difference between wants and needs. And what he wants is external validation. External validation. What does that mean? I guess we'll find out.
He wants to hear that his decisions are important, therefore so is he.
That's what he wants. He wants the external validation. So we have to, I guess, it's a pattern. That's another pattern of what they do. They tell you something in an overly complicated manner, and then they kind of explain it.
His actions are directly reticent to the institution he is a part of.
His actions are directly reticent of the institutions he's a part of. That is fantastic. That is exactly what happens in these videos. The line was so beautiful. Let's watch it again, Chad. One more time.
Wants to hear that his decisions are important, therefore so is he. His actions are directly reticent to the institution he is a part of. On screen,
his actions are directly reticent to the institution that he's a part of. And it's so confusing that it means nothing. It just he put it in the most confusing terms possible. And that's his main that's his main point, though. That's what they do sometimes. Is here's a complicated term. Here's an explanation of the complicated term, and this all means that he is reticent of the institution he's a part of. What does that mean? What does that mean? And they leave that as their main point sometimes. I think Mala might actually explain this one, though.
The villainous characters are constantly espousing that he must behave in framing that has been crafted by the very institution he was trying to run from.
Institution.
That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate.
Oh no.
Saving what we love.
These were blatant representations of roadblocks we all face in real life. They prevent our true nature from fighting our own cause, but for the purposes of this analysis, this is his want. Because wants are things you have trouble resisting.
Where's Rey?
I'm just here to get Rey. But this fleet is doomed, and if my friend comes back to it, she's doomed too.
Spy. Who?
People believe in Leia.
What he needs is to become emotionally independent, to carve out his own institution, his own identity. But
he needs to carve out his own institution that he wasn't a part of in the first place. He needs to carve out his own institution inside of himself, and by creating his own institution, he frees himself from the other institutions because of the institution and because of the implication, of course.
Who seems to be the character whose arc is least appreciated, and I think
the video is really fun. Like just going into and trying to make other word salads with it.
we sort of expected him to start the movie as the person he only transforms into at the end of the movie. That sounds a little confusing, but consider this. Poe and Han feel like completely different characters personality-wise, but in each of their first films, they have similar arcs. Neither of them care about the politics of the galaxy at all, and just want to look after themselves as they perform what they see as heroic acts. Only later do they do something selfless. Han saves the galaxy by saving Luke, and Poe saves the galaxy by saving...
That's what you usually get when we have one of these defending essays. You get this a lot. They're trying to sound more brilliant. They're too busy trying to sound brilliant, and that's exactly what Rian Johnson did with The Last Jedi. It's kind of funny. They're all so preoccupied with trying to sound brilliant, trying to look brilliant, that they come off as almost unintelligible. Can you say something can you say something with a straight face? Can you say something straight to me? Okay. Can you say something in plain language? Just stop getting off your pedestal, okay? And just get down in the mud with us and explain things to us in understandable terms. Explain it simply. Because as Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. Tyler Preston, thank you much for the 5. Appreciate that. If DC Comics really wanted to do this YA graphic novel thing, then they should have used their teenage superheroes like Teen Titans. They should have. They should have. They're already teens. Or made like a new group if they wanted to. Make a new Teen Titans group or something. But they didn't. They wanted to. That would take work. That would take work, chat. And they would need good stories. Why do work and good stories when you can just take a character that pretty much sells itself and just turn him into a teenager? Just take Batman, turn him into a teenager. A lot less work. A lot less work.
Finn. At the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back, Han is now not just a good friend, but a loyal soldier in the fight against the Empire. So I think we sort of expected that Poe would be one too. But Rian Johnson's insight into the character is in acknowledging that Poe hasn't yet made that step, and that he could tell a whole story about Poe's identity through radicalization into the ideological battle of the Resistance. At the end of The Force Awakens, Poe...
Barry Bend, the ability to speak does not mean you are intelligent. Yeah, that's actually pretty true. That's pretty true. Let's see, KH much of 2, appreciate that. They are full of nonsense and plagiarism. Oh yes. Oh yes. They obviously they're using clips from They usually use clips from Star Wars without permission. And they kind of copy each other. I don't know if they copy each other, they just all think the same. They all have the same arguments. Let's see here. I really like this. I really like the way they do these things. It's clips. See, when Marlo does this in his videos, his clips always directly pertain, they always connect to what he's talking about. So a clip shows up on Marlo's video, he's talking about it. He's explaining the clip. If it's just for a joke, then the clip is directly connected to the joke he's making. I remember the one joke he made during I think the Rise of Skywalker, where he's explaining that Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber is going to be buried in sand, and he's showing Rey burying it in sand. The way they do, the way the critics, the defending critics, the Last Jedi defending critics do things, is they just play clips throughout the whole, like Mahler's doing right here. Just play clips throughout the whole run of the review. Whether or not it connects to what they're talking about or not, it doesn't matter. It's just up to the viewer to connect the dots and fill in the cracks that they left behind. So this is spot on. Spot on. Let's see here. I see a Master Gaming. So you are now onto the Mauler Troll video? Yeah. Yeah. This is the Mauler Troll video. It's really funny. We're really enjoying it. It's so spot on, and how people usually criticizes how they put together a video with long nonsensical word salads and manipulative clips and music, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. Let's see here. Gojiro387, I believe people can call whatever the film or book they want great. They just have to be able to make a good case, a coherent, logical, rational case. Exactly. I don't care if you like The Last Jedi. Okay, what's really funny, what's really what we really cover are the people who say that you're a bigot or something for not liking it. So you can like it. It's always the burden is always on us, chat. Or the burden is always on the people who don't like something. So they can hate us. They can say we're bad people for not liking something, but we can't say anything for them liking something. It's it's an unfair, unbalanced system. But that's the way it works. It's like, oh, you can't. You saying I can't like Last Jedi? You must be a bigot. We're not saying you can't like it. We're saying that we believe it to be a bad movie, objectively a bad movie. Oh well, then you must be a bigot because Last Jedi is full of stuff that only bigots would hate. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Sure.
Acted to save a friend. So at the beginning of this movie, that is now his want, to save a friend.
Falcon's a lot better shape than he is.
BB-8's not on fire.
What's left of him isn't on fire.
Tell me what happened.
You tell me first.
His need is to become concerned not just with the safety of his friends, but of the galaxy as a whole. He needs to become a rebel. And this is why the hatred of Rose needs to stop. Her actions, though negative, push these characters through their journeys. Part 2, Conflict. Adolf Dukovsky is...
All right, that could explain that at all. I love that. It's part 2. Let's go jump right in with someone called Adolf Dukovsky. I told you it gets better. Let's move it back a little bit. So now I'm going to explain how or why Rose, essentially, according to this video, pushes them on their journey. And she just does. It's an excuse as to it's basically just an excuse so you could stop criticizing Rose Tico because she was a sacred cow. She became a sacred, no pun intended. She became I'm using the term sacred cow as the way it's usually given off. But she was a sacred cow character. It's with the SJWs. Like, you can't criticize her. She's uncriticizable because she's a minority. I see Hex Harper. Thanks for 499. Appreciate that. Now you must deal with the creation of all the unpleasantries in the entire universe as I feel the injection of the gods above, the ultimate warrior. Yeah, it's like the ultimate warrior got he didn't die or anything. He just fell from public grace and got a job writing scripts for Last Jedi Defenders. I don't know. It's really strange. Ultimate Warrior is fantastic. All of his monologues are fantastic. It's just mangled garbage of word salad after word salad. Let's see here. Barry Ben, tomorrow can we take a look at Steve Shives' What Conservatives Like About Star Trek? A video as he is worthy of shredding on More Nonsense. Oh, I didn't know he made that one. If it's about Star Trek, I don't really want to cover politics, but if it's about Star Trek, then sure. That'd be interesting. Maybe we'll do that one. But yeah, if you listen to an SJW try to defend something and then listen to the Ultimate Warrior, you probably won't be able to make up the difference. It's almost the same thing.
Stop. Her actions, though negative, push these characters through their journeys. Part 2.
Yeah, so he's just going to drop that one and not explain it. And that's it's just an excuse to lambast you, to make Rose seem important, and that's what happens a lot in these videos. So again, nice touch, Mahler. Nice touch. And see here, KH and much of the 5. Appreciate that. Is this guy trying to put his viewers to sleep? Why is he trying to speak slowly? Is he trying to put us hypnosis and brainwash us? Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think what they're trying to do in these usual videos, and that's what Mahler is really putting out here. That's why he's talking so slowly, because Mahler does not talk like this normally, and what he's trying to do is imitate how they speak. They like to speak slowly so that it sounds more hypnotic, almost robotic. Just a rambling on one unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic, quite hypnotic, that sort of thing. So, and also it stretches out their videos so they can it can produce longer videos.
Conflict. Adolf Dukovsky is a Russian philosopher I very much admire. and he said, "The fundamental equation of storytelling is to distinguish what challenges the want versus satisfying the need. Once you discover the difference, nothing stands in your way." And so...
Okay, who was he then? See, I like to, this is, I think I mentioned this before already, but they like to throw in people, okay? And they like to throw in people, like famous philosophers and all this stuff, and hopefully you never heard of them, so they can just, okay, that sounds smart. I agree with them, and they just throw them in there. No further information. Like, who are these people? I don't know, but they sound smart, so they get infinite credibility.
Well, how do the characters' wants and needs conflict with the outside world? How do they conflict with other characters? The outside world one is pretty easy, right? They all conflict with the First Order.
You see, usually in video essays, I think I've seen Mahler do this, and I try to do this. When you make references, you try to make references with the other. It helps with if you reference other movies and other things that were relatively good and written well, or things that were instances where it worked, what you're talking about worked. And so basically, if they wanted to argue for Rey, they would put side by side maybe someone they think might match up to Rey's, or another character from another franchise that they think might match up to Rey's journey, and say, "Oh, look, you didn't like it. This person is good. This person was well received. This person was written well, and it's essentially shares these commonalities with Rey." What Last Jedi defenders tend to do is not do that. They just bring in philosophers and story writers and just allude to them and quote them and stuff without actually explaining who and what they are. Just quoting from books without explaining what they're about or who they are. Instead of trying to make comparisons and then backing up those comparisons with, quote the quotes and everything. So there's nothing wrong with using these quotes, by the way. There's nothing wrong with using philosophers and writers and everything. But the way they do it is just they kind of drop them there, and they don't actually tie them into their argumentation. Here's a quote from this guy. Well, who's this guy? I don't know. If you don't know who this guy is, I'm not going to explain it to you. It's that sort of mindset.
And Poe conflicts with the lower classes of Kijimi. But as to the second question, each of the main characters is opposed by two others. One who represents or enables their wants, and one which forces them to realize what they need. The protagonist is sort of caught in a tug of war between these two opponents. Poe is in conflict with Finn because of his recklessness, but he doesn't force him to change his ways. He scolds him, but enables him as well.
How do you know how to do that?
On the other hand, Finn...
You see what I'm talking about, Chad? Like, he scolds him, but enables him as well. And there's one small little clip of him going, "How do you know how to do that?" in an annoyed tone. So it's like they kind of read huge things out of small little instances in the movie. That's essentially what we're going for. Essentially what they're going for. So it's like that one joke we now have where he wiggled his eyebrow, which dictates to us that he is conflicted in the Force or something like that. So these small, tiny little things in the movie is how they try to argue these huge, gigantic thematic instances of character and theme and character development. So it's good because of the details. It's good. Apparently, it's good because of when Finn makes this face where he's raising one eyebrow slightly over to the other. That means that he has a plan or something like that. So they're really reading into small things a lot, so they can use it for argumentation. Which is why when they bring in a clip they want to actually actively point to instead of just playing around in the background, it's usually like a few seconds, and really sometimes out of context too.
Freezes him out of a leadership position entirely and shows zero tolerance for his attitude.
Well, I'm not Leia. That's for damn sure.
As for Rey, Kylo keeps impressing on her that she has a moral responsibility to search out her identity.
You need a teacher! I could show you the ways of the Force!
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be. I'm going. going to find you, and I'm going to turn you to the dark side. You're so lonely. So free.
What I really like about the lines people usually recite from the sequels is that when you recite a line from the prequels, it's usually in fun and in jest. Usually a lot of fun quoting the prequels. Every time I hear someone recite a line from the sequels, it's always in an undertone of disgust, like Rey's face here. It's always how bad it is and all the horrible things they have in the sequels. Kill it past if you have to. It's always an insult or something. With prequels, it's always fun. Sequels, the lines are used as an insult against the sequels itself and why it hurt, why it's terrible,
To leave. I know when the moment comes, you'll be the one to turn. You'll stand with me. Join me.
While Luke argues that there is no objective morality and that Rey would be wise to be more identified within herself.
Rey would be more wise to be more identified within herself. What does that mean? Mala did a great job of producing a 21-minute video where he basically says nothing. It's remarkable. And it's very spot on to how these videos usually go. It's fantastic, chat. It is fantastic. Anyway, chat. Anyway, I think we don't have to watch the whole video. If you want to watch the rest of the video, it's on Mahler's channel. Unfortunately, we're out of time for today, but I'll look into Steve Shive's video. Hopefully, he hasn't blocked me from YouTube because he likes to block everybody. He's kind of a block happy guy. But I'll go ahead and end it here. Go ahead and end the stream here at the 2.5 hour mark. Unfortunately, I'm out of time for today anyway. Apologize about that, but I hope you all had a lot of fun. And I hope if you were having a terrible day or having start off with a less than ideal morning, then I hope it is that I hope the stream helped you at least a little bit. Let's see here. But unfortunately, I've run out of time for the moment. Got to get to work on that other video. But I hope you all had a great time. Thank you very much for joining me for the stream. Thank you very much. And I'll see what I can do for next time and see if I can get that Steve Size video up there. Let's see here. Angel Lesor, thanks for $99. Jason Solo's story. Trust me. Oh yeah, he's in the Star Wars Legends, isn't he? The actual son of Han and Leia. There we go. And see Darth Milk. I cannot find any Russian philosopher named Adolf. You probably couldn't. They like to reference obscure. The more obscure the references, the smarter they look. So that obviously they'll start doing obscure references. They love doing that. And maybe we'll continue this video next time. But unfortunately, if you want to, I'll give you the choice. Okay, I'll give you the choice for next time. I'll start the stream with, you want to continue that video? And then we can. So if you don't want to continue the video, the Mahler video, we won't. If you don't want to, we will if you want to. I'll let you decide, chat. Power to the people. Anyway. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you had a wonderful 4/20/2020, and I will see you all next time.